Hello, everybody. Getting started soon.
Test.
Let's see here. There's that. There's that. They can hear you now.
Then I won't ask what I
Oh, man.
Well, I'm gonna ask you, what were you doing on January 6, 2021? No, I'm kidding.
I was with you, brother. We were fighting for our country.
That's right.
You're a secret American.
That's right, brother. That's right, brother. They be eating the dogs, brother.
Yeah, Mike, when's the last time you got sky rizzied?
Hours ago.
Was that today?
Early today.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah.
Oh, that explains some things. Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
All right.
I know that because he said so on his stream last night.
Oh.
Yeah.
I watched the content, unlike others.
Yeah, wow.
I was in bed. Okay.
I do love that the doc for this show's just called Podcast Rundown. Like we used to have just
one podcast. It's I'm not gonna change it. It's nostalgic.
How old is this dog?
Years. Like, I don't know. I think it's as old as the podcast.
This is an old-ass fucking podcast.
Well,
I wish you could see when it was created.
I know. I don't know if there's a way to do that. Okay.
Did we figure out what we're doing today? I was asleep.
Yeah. We're gonna do a tier list of console refreshes.
Okay. That's fun.
Redesigns.
Oh, I want that Astrobot though.
I did a thread telling people to pick a redesign of a console and grade it, and a lot of people should post it, like a picture of a console. I was like, was I bad at it? Did I not explain myself correctly? Or is the people dumb?
I don't know.
It might be both. It might be both.
Damn, you guys didn't even start yet? What the hell's going
starting.
on here?
I don't know. It is 9:07, isn't it? All right. Here's.
Oh, it is 9:07. Oh boy,
What's going
I
on?
wasn't gonna say anything.
I'm trying to get these kids
You know
to go
what
to bed.
happened?
It's
It's on
fine.
me. It's my fault. It's my fault. I
It is
did.
definitely your
I'm
fault.
sorry, Chad.
I did.
I mean, usually.
Yeah,
I
I showed
tweeted.
it a funny video.
I tweeted and then I did this.
I was like, oh shit, I'm late. It's going to be all awkward just walking into this call late. No, I should have known
I
better.
showed him a funny video, and it's my fault.
It derailed everything.
Fair enough.
God, I wish this Coke Zero tasted more like an Oreo.
Oh, that's the wrong music. All right, hang on.
I need to get more of those.
My friends got that shit, and they say it's horrible.
They're wrong. They're absolutely wrong.
You guys hear that?
And they say that yes, we hear that, and they say that the cookies are worse.
Okay, well, if you don't like Oreos, then I guess you don't like Oreo Coke Zero.
No.
I have heard that the cookies are not good, but yeah,
Okay.
That's
Coke
what I heard.
is.
They
Oh,
like
that's what you
Oreos,
mean.
and they
That's what you mean. Okay, I haven't had Coca-Cola Oreos yet.
Yeah.
I've heard it just tastes like expired Coke.
Ooh, my
I showed a
favorite.
video, a compilation of Shenanigans and Frakes just asking questions.
Yeah, I just
That's
found
why-
mine at like a very local, normal grocery store. Everybody, it wasn't anything special.
I thought you got it from your friend Mark. What are you talking about? All right. I think we could start this show.
Oh yeah, let's just start.
Nick,
Okay.
can I jump on this weekend? I think I might be able to. I have to double check with Steph and make sure we're not doing anything, but there's a good chance I might be able to make it work this weekend.
Speaking of doing things, don't forget next Friday is that Cleveland IX indoor thing.
Okay. Good.
I'll talk to you about that.
Yeah, we should
I
get
want to do it.
tickets.
And I would maybe like to go on Friday when Susan opens that evening so we can get first pick.
Oh, okay, the pick of the litter. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, sounds good. Reply to my bloody Discord message. Well, not when you use that kind of language. Okay.
Wow.
I will.
Good luck with that one, Nick.
I'll do it. Okay, look. I just don't. It's ADHD. Can I blame that? Let me think. I'm probably gonna blame that.
Sure.
You usually do.
Yeah, I usually do. I usually get away with it. All right.
This podcast is never going to start.
I'm starting it now. Holy shit! You shut your goddamn mouth. In 5, 4, 3. Actually, hang on. Where's the doc? there we go. 3, 2. the internet. You're busy. Let's do this. Welcome to the Game Mess Decides podcast. This is the podcast where we decide everything about the world of games so you never have to think for yourself. I'm your host, Jeff Grubb, and with me is
Mike Minotti.
In today's episode, I'm back! So it's Marvel, baby. Is that what that means?
Marvel.
Hey, fair enough. PS5 is $700. More Xbox layoffs and a tier list of console redesigns, refreshes, slims, pros. I put a bunch of shit into a tier maker list. We'll do that here in a little bit. But first, Mike, how are you doing?
I think okay. I was feeling rough. I think I'm feeling better today. So, we got the weekend ahead. I think I'm going to actually be able to relax a bit this weekend. So, yeah, I think I'm good. I'm excited for the weekend to play some video games and whatnot.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting some downtime, especially after having a big trip and all that stuff. So, yeah, looking forward to that as well. Hoping I don't get the COVID rebound. Although I hear it's pretty common to get that. So
my rebound was way worse than just my normal COVID, I think. I don't know. I was like, normal COVID was like a cold. Then I was good for a couple days. And then like all of a sudden, I just felt like absolutely hit by a truck. It was weird. But yeah, starting to feel fine.
Yeah, Emmy started sneezing tonight. So it's like, I'm pretty sure she's probably getting at least a cold. But she could have COVID as well. At least for kids, I think they bounce back really quick. So hoping that goes well.
I was watching one of the gimmicks run around with their little Astrobot doll, and it was very cute. But it did make me laugh about that time, like 3 years ago, back when the consoles were launching or so, when you were labeled as like a very obvious Sony hater and like in the pocket of big Xbox, and just seeing your child walk around with an Astrobot doll made me laugh.
Yep, we're a big Astro house now. Everyone in this family loves Astrobot, and me especially.
They should.
Yeah, for sure. Let's get into this. Thank you everybody for joining us. Really appreciate it. Give us a good rating wherever you are listening. Hit that like button on YouTube, please. It helps people find the show. If you want to ask a question, you can do so by dropping a super chat during the program here on YouTube. We'll get to all of those before we're done. Thank you to Carlos Ayin, who is Insane in the Rain Music on YouTube, for the use of our theme songs. Thanks to 1UP versus CPU for our artwork. You can find more at 1UpVersusCPU.com. We are on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and wherever pods are caught. Thank you to the mods. Thank you to Christian for producing, and you can get more from Mike and me and support us by going to patreon.com/GameMess. That gets you access to our Discord server, participation in Q&A sessions and our Game Club discussions, early access to new episodes of Game Mess Jeopardy and Columbros, and of course, all of our shows ad-free. Friendly reminder, you can also become a supporter by becoming a YouTube member or Twitch subscriber. And also a note on the Q&A sessions. I think I'll do it not this weekend, but the weekend after next, because I'll be able to talk about like where I was on my trip then, and it might be fun to like bring some of that stuff up in the Q&A. So we'll do that. All right, not that it's some huge big thing, everybody. Don't get your hopes up. Okay, Mike, let's see. Big topics of the week. You want to get into it?
Yeah.
Let's do it. Let's start. Hey, that PS5 Pro is 700 United States of America dollars, as written here. I know, what the hell? Who could have foreseen it coming?
Emma Fife did, and I didn't believe her. I'm sorry, Emma.
It doesn't come with a stand. It does not come with a disc drive, Blu-ray drive. And it does. I think Christian wrote here, or the love of a proud parent. That's fair. That's true. Wow. It does have an improved GPU. It has Pisser technology.
Pisser, let's go.
It has the PlayStation Soviet Socialist Republic technology. Very impressive that they were able to get that for this console. What was the other pillar? What was I can't remember. They said there's three things.
AI something.
Right,
no,
that's the Pisser, right? So, and then
advanced ray tracing.
All right, okay. I think it's kind of funny that things went down mostly how we were talking it out. Like, they would try to price this thing as much as they can. And they would probably struggle to have a very succinct way of marketing this thing, even though I think they tried to be succinct with a 9-minute video, 2 minutes of which we're talking about how awesome the PS5 vanilla is. So really 7 minutes of trying to sell people on the PS5 Pro. They tried to boil it down to be very succinct. It's just not as succinct as, you just got a 4K TV, buy our 4K console, you dumb bastards. And so, I think they are kind of feeling it right now, and yet they're selling it for $700 without a stand, without the disc drive. The disc drive is already selling out. Who knows how many of those things are in the supply chain? But I think the demand seems like it's going to be there. And at the end of the day, for as much as like I know these companies talk about, hey, component prices are still so high. Oh my God, we can't lower the price of these things. That's a lie. That's such a lie. Maybe those prices are high. Sure, maybe. But that's not why the price is what it is. The price is what the market can bear. Sony believes that $700 is what people will pay for this. I think they're probably, for the most part, right. What do you think?
I think in that presentation they identified the problem, or at least my problem with modern console gaming, right? Having to pick between two graphics modes, right? And they just talked about that straight up, and they kind of made it seem like they're trying to bridge that gap there a little bit. Although obviously this isn't a perfect solution, but they some of the things that they were talking about, like, hey, here is performance modes with better fidelity, or fidelity modes with better performances. I'm like, okay. And even seeing, John from Digital Foundry talking about, wow, PlayStation or Final Fantasy VII Rebirth really does look a lot better on this thing. I'm like, okay, but man, $700, right? And again, for the actual real benefits, and there's some inherent ones, like games have to be designed with this, and that list is just 13 games or something right now. And then, the disk drive thing, there is something about that is just, man, it's pretty wild that the premium.
Yeah.
Well, it's because it's, the whole thing is like, well, this is a premium product, but you don't get a disk drive. I'm like, really? That doesn't feel very premium. And then, like, the fucking, you don't get the plastic stand even. It's like, okay, now you're just committed to a bit or something at this point. It's like, there's a part of me, it's like, yeah, like, look, I would like a PlayStation 5 that runs games a bit better. I would like maybe some of my games look a bit sharper or run a bit smoother. But boy, that's a big price. And I am trying desperately to figure out how this thing is going to do. I guess I just have to wait and see, because usually, like the new PlayStations do sell really well. And I'm curious if this is finally pushing that limit. Like, man, here's something with just, not something very obvious or very easy to distill in a simple marketing pitch in terms of upgrade for a whole heck of a lot of money more.
Mm-hmm. It's it's strange. I think you're right about the premium positioning of this thing, and not including some of those features that, like, it's not even just premium. Same Pro implies, like, this is what the professionals need, which of course has never really been what Pro moniker means on these systems. But yeah, it feels like some conniving and nickel and diming to really sell for an even higher price than $700. Because the drive is like $85, right? $80, something like that. It's like $80 on the PlayStation Direct. So we're talking $780 before the stand. And the stand, I think, is $30 in that range. Maybe it's less than that. But basically, all in, this console is $800. So the reason they didn't put this thing on the shelf with the disc drive and the stand is they didn't want to have a big price. They didn't want the $599 thing to happen again. I think that still happened to some degree. Obviously, there was a huge backlash to this. But I think they were like, we'll put it at $700, and then we'll let only the people who really want those things, which I think most people are going to want to stand long term. I think people will be able to talk themselves out of it. But if you're already spending $700 on a console, you just get the fucking thing that makes it stand up vertically. But yeah, they didn't want to have it be like 700 and then $799 US, and just like, because that really is a number that just feels
is a lot.
That feels like actually the line now, which I think, for all of the backlash here, I think they probably did still find the right side of the line at $699. It's like, yeah, that's terrible. This sucks. I can't believe we're here. But I think a lot of people, the target audience for this thing is probably, they're already justifying ways to make this make sense in their head. A lot of them talking about selling their current PS5, right?
Yeah, well, that drives me a little weird. People
Me too.
Like, well, it's when you think about
silly.
like, when you think about, well, if you sell your current PS5, it's not as much. I'm like, yes, if you sell things you currently own, then things become more of a value, I guess.
Right.
The scaling is kind of wild in places like Canada and Europe, right? Where
it gets really out of hand very fast.
Yeah, so then it gets real. Again, like, I don't know. I guess this will probably still do fine, whatever their expectations are for it. But I am curious because we're living in a world where when things do flop, they flop bad, right?
Yeah.
Like, just look at Concord a little bit ago, or even in the Hollywood world, Borderlands. It's like when people decide that something in the entertainment world is not worth their money, they make that decision
they punish the
drastic way.
Yes, it feels like that. It's like, you are gonna pay for even suggesting this. Now, I mean, do you think that could happen here? Because I don't know if that happens here. I'm like reassessing a lot of things in video games.
I wouldn't bet on it, Jeff, but
Right.
there's a part of me that worries. It's a big price. I'm probably off base there. It's probably not happening. It's not what I think is going to happen.
I think
but
you're
I'm
right
like,
that they're at least flirting with that. Like, this feels like it is. It's not trying to go the obvious. You can get away with $600 here. I think everyone would have said there would have been some grumbling about 600, but everyone would have been like going shwoo a little bit because it's like they're not trying to get away with as much as possible. This price feels like them trying to get away with as much as possible, which suggests that they're going to continue to do that if they don't really face any repercussions here, which means the next time around, like I don't think the PS6 launches at anything less than like $650. It's probably going to be $700. Why would they go back down from here? Because the PS4 was
unless this is an absolute disaster at this price,
Right,
right?
exactly.
Then you do everything you can to
If there are
engineer a console
repercussions, yes.
that won't cost $700. Right, but the other thing is just this whole pitch is about how your older games are going to run better on it. The one new game that they talk about in this thing was Assassin's Creed Shadows. Even in their big new game, Astrobot isn't a part of this equation at all because it just already kind of looks
it's already
perfect.
the game that it's supposed to be. Yeah, that
Right.
presentation. I don't think this is. I think everyone tends to agree with this. Not great. It just didn't do a good job of making the argument. And I think a huge part of that is it's a tough argument to make. If there was a succinct thing they could have said, they would have said it. So instead, they are forced to pretend that they are Digital Foundry and. Surprise, they're not as good at Digital Foundry as showing this stuff off, where it's like they're showing a tiny little segment of a screen. They're not even really blowing it up, which maybe they're worried about false advertising, I suppose, because like that's not what's really going to look like on your screen.
I was watching Maximilian dude react to this, and it was like that part where like they zoom in on like the text on some watchtower in the background of Last of Us Part 2, and they're like, look how much clearer it is with the PlayStation 5 Pro. And like Max just almost started laughing, like, wow. This is where we are now. The era of diminishing returns is more real than ever.
It's like, yeah, and so you couple up a lackluster presentation, one that did feel a little bit meandering, a little bit looking for some ground to stand on. I care about ray tracing to a small degree, almost academically at this point more than anything else, where it's like, I think it's fun when I see developers using it in ways. It's like, man, I like the idea of a computer doing the math to figure out how light bounces around a surface in real time. That tickles me. But I would never really bring that to these podcasts anymore, or any podcast, and like be like, hey, let's talk about ray tracing, because no one cares. And for that to be one of their pillars, in a handful of games, and it's like, Hogwarts Legacy, the reflections are gonna. It's like, man, reflections in games already look really good.
Right, Astrobot doesn't have any ray tracing, and its reflections look great. And by the way, Hogwarts running at 30 FPS still on a PlayStation 5 Pro, cool.
Yes, that which is not anything they can do anything about because that game's just locked at 30 frames per second on the console. But it's like that's still the one thing you have to show off here. I think it shows the slim pickings. Now, that's third party. A lot of their first party stuff did have some improvements where it is 60 and high quality at the same time. But the problem is with a PlayStation game, those games already look amazing. Just astonishing, even in performance mode. Even on performance mode on the fucking PS4, The Last of Us Part 2 looked better than just about any game ever made. The diminishing returns have already been there since like the PS4 for some of these games in terms of Sony being able to get the power out of these consoles already. So again, it just makes the PS5 Pro argument that much more tougher to make. Yeah.
They can't just say 4K like they did with the PlayStation 4
Clearly.
Pro, which again was at least a succinct argument. And there just wasn't anything like that here. I mean, it would have been hilarious if they said the words 8K, right? I'm still reeling from 8K being on the box of PlayStation 5 when they had to get rid of it, right? Right?
Yeah, I think they did say that.
Then they were thinking about it, like, well, we need a 8K's twice as much as 4K.
More
That's
than
at least a
4K.
simple message, right?
Yeah, right. And it's like, I mean, they learned that people don't care about that. They also are like, this thing's not really outputting at 8K. Now, Gran Turismo 7 apparently is going to have an 8K mode. They said that to CNET. Incredible.
Let's go.
But that's, Polyphony Digital, is that the developer there? They love that horse shit. They love resolution over there, whatever. But it's like, going back to ray tracing, I think this is a thing where it is difficult to get people to care, and it really is maybe the one actual new thing that is happening with this, because the rumor now is it's going to be RDNA 4 based. It might have some new AMD technology that could be equivalent to the ray tracing engine that's inside of the NVIDIA GPUs for a while now, that has made NVIDIA GPUs so much better at ray tracing than AMD for this whole generation. And it's like, okay, hey, that's great, but I think the boat has sailed on getting people to care about this, and if that's your one new thing, it just feels like the marketing has missed the messaging and what you're actually able to deliver here, and these things are just not going to be able to come together into a compelling argument. Now, again, we say all this, and I feel like this thing's probably going to sell to that same audience that always shows up for this stuff. So I don't know how much it all matters.
Yeah, that's what I'm curious about. Let me ask you a question that Sean and I talked about in last of the Nintendogs while you were away. What do you think a Switch 2 costs now? You think this changes is what you thought it was going to cost, or you still have a price in mind that was the price you had in mind last week?
I am certain at this point that it will be no less than $400.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, I don't think it's there's no way it's less than 400.
Right.
Sure.
There's no way anymore that it's less than 400, and that's where I was kind of at before. So now, like, I was like thinking it probably would be 400. Now I'm like, that thing's probably going to be $500. At the very least, it's $400, and then an OLED comes a year later at $500 pretty quickly. And I think they could do that, but they will have a Switch 2 on the shelves that costs $500 in some way within the first couple years of that system. Yeah, I think that's where we're at now. That part of that is Nintendo does see the way the wind is blowing. They want to make a profit on these devices. They want to make a lot of profit on these devices, and then I think they are also looking around and being like, man, we are kind of the only game in town for this kind of experience at home, this family video gaming console that delivers Mario Kart and Mario Party regularly and gives these families what they need. We know that these people are now putting more money towards the budget for that sort of experience than they ever have before. They might feel pretty comfortable with that. So I don't know. I think it probably behooves them to have something that is $399.99. Because really, if you're going after those families, you want to have some price sensitivity. And I don't think the hardware that they're going to use is going to be the most expensive thing in the world. They are conservative on that stuff, and it sounds like they've had this thing in the works for a very long time now. They probably use something that from NVIDIA that is relatively, aging into, it's growing in maturity in terms of how easy it is for NVIDIA to produce it with its partners, probably at Samsung or TSMC. So yeah, I still think it's probably going to end up being 400 at the initial burst, but we'll see. I don't know. Where'd you land with that?
I mean, I definitely think 400 is. I'm still, I guess, saying 400, but hey, I would not have guessed 700 on a PlayStation 5 Pro, right? I would have thought that'd be 600, 650, probably 650. So what do I know now?
Yeah, I think all those times where it's like, I was like, hey, it could be 700, but it's probably going to be 650. And it's like, yeah, I think whenever we have these companies in a situation like that, maybe we should be leaning more towards that. It could be, so it's going to be.
Man, so like, I don't know. It is just wild that we are so far removed from the world where, like, forget about price cuts, right? Which used to be the thing that happened at consoles very quickly, like crazy, right? To the point where they got super affordable, and it's the opposite. They just find ways to make the consoles more expensive now. We don't maybe have to go on this too long because it's been happening before, but it definitely, at least for me, pushes me more and more towards just investing more into my PC. Because it just seems smarter.
I mean,
especially again, $700. Like I can make a big investment in my PC for $700. It's not. We're not even talking about making like a little bit of a chip in there. This is like a whole thing I can do now.
And I get that's not for everybody, but let's make it clear that is. Sony knows that, and that's what they're exploiting here, is the people that are going like, well, I'm not going to build a PC. That's not for me. So Sony's sitting around going, all right, well, what are you going to do? We're going to sell PS5 for $700. What are you going to do? Either you're going to keep playing on PlayStation 5 that you already have. We're fine with that. But we know you're not going to go buy an Xbox. And you already told us you're not going to go build a PC. So when you put us in the situation of telling us that you want a console, you want console gaming, and you want more power, like, we're going to price it as high as we possibly can get away with. And we know we're going to be able to get away with more because you told us you're not going to go to the other real competition, now being PC. So, yeah, that's how we end up in this situation. Now, again, I'm not telling people now that means you have to go buy a PC. It's just I agree with you. As the price gets higher on consoles, I am more happy with my investment in PC. And then I also look at the way things are going with the disk drive not being included in the thing, and that's Sony signifying more and more that like the future is not hard media. It is going to be digital. And while I'm someone who buys digital, I feel much more comfortable doing that on the open platform PC. So.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just like some of the arguments like for console gaming, which I used to hold on to very dear myself, right? Like, again, the fact that you would have this physical library, well, that's being de-emphasized in a lot of ways. And look, we already have this console. The big next PlayStation console doesn't have a disk drive mandatory. How much longer is it till there just isn't one at all? So you don't have that anymore. And then again, like the other thing was like, well, it's so much more affordable, right? It's just way cheaper than a PC. It's like, how much cheaper is it anymore? So the one main benefit still is just that ease of use stuff, right? That kind of pick up and play nature of it, and that is still there. And I get why that's appealing to a lot of people, but I don't know if it's enough for me anymore.
Also, like Steam Deck is happened, and now Steam OS being ready to go on PCs maybe is going to force Microsoft to have to improve Windows for use on TVs and devices, dedicated devices. They're just going to have to do that. And so the world of using the PC on your television is only going to get better from here. And if that's what people's big hang up is, I think that you're in for a lot of good news coming up real soon. And you already got some good news this week. Steam family sharing just blows the other shit out of the water. So if you have multiple people in your household playing on devices, you get a PC, you have a Steam Deck, you want to like hand the Steam Deck to a kids while you continue to play your game on the PC at your desktop. That's going to be easier than ever with the family sharing that Steam does. So there are benefits. But again, I get it's not for everybody. And we say all this, Mike. I know me. I'm probably going to end up with a PS5 Pro, even though this is probably the PS5 is probably up there. Honestly, this and the Xbox Series X up there with the consoles I spent the least amount of time in during the generation that they were active.
Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know. And I know sometimes I say that and I joke, I'm going to get one anyways. Like, look, if there's, there's always chances like maybe I'll get one because of work. And of course, that'll be fine.
Right. Different conversation for sure.
Yeah, but I don't know. $700. And there's even some aspects of it again. Like, I love the idea of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth specifically looking better, right? That's a game I loved. And it was a game that had a pretty fuzzy performance mode. And I still had to have the performance mode because I care about frames per second that much more, but it was a pretty fuzzy performance mode. I would love for that to be sharper.
PS freak.
I don't know if $700 want that, right?
Yeah.
We'll see. I'm curious how it all goes down.
Yeah, and we did get a lot of super chats about this topic, so let's get through the rest of the news. Then we'll hit the super chats that talk about all this stuff. Looking forward to answering some of those. From GameFile, Steven Totillo doing the work out there. First to report that Microsoft is laying off 650 employees from its gaming division, mostly from at the Activision Blizzard acquisition, and then mostly from, it seemed like management and publishing roles, not from like game dev roles. But that's on top of the 1,900 people that were cut earlier this year. So just Microsoft cutting basically 2,500 people, 2,550 people are in that range. Excuse me. It just continues to be a bloodbath. It is, what is Microsoft's explanation for this, Mike? It is the same thing as always. This helps them grow faster. And how does it help them grow? By paying fewer people money. And I think that continues to be very grim that's where we're at, that the growth is not coming from making new video games. It is coming from paying people less. I don't think this is a good sign. Obviously, it's not a good sign, but I feel like they keep talking about growth like it's our problem, or like it's the problem the people that they've hired or the Activision Blizzard hired before the acquisition. And I'm just getting kind of sick of that because I don't care about your growth. That has nothing to do with why I'm here. I'm here because you guys happen to make video games occasionally. Sometimes I care about them. Tell me when you're doing that, and if you're not doing that, anything choices that you're making is happenstance. And when it's a big negative choice like this of laying off a bunch of people, it just makes you look cruel and incompetent. And I don't know how else to view it.
I mean, I thought the whole point of the acquisition, I thought you're supposed to get growth because you own Call of Duty now. Like, there must be growth there, and there has been growth there.
Yeah,
so,
of course there has.
Yeah, it's just wild. It seems cruel. It just seems like the bleeding can't stop there. There's almost a bit of like, let's see if we can squeeze a few more through kind of nature to this. That, it feels distasteful. It feels bad. They better be at the end of it over there.
Right.
I know the conversation has been a lot about PlayStation lately. It's been this weird whirlwind of Concord, Astrobot.
I mean,
PS5 Pro,
Bungie layoffs, but right before that too.
Layoffs.
So,
Yeah.
It's been a lot. It's a rocky road at both of these companies, and things are not going to settle down for really either side because there's no like one big answer. I think that's what's scary is these companies have big pokers in the fire. PS5 Pro, a bunch of games from first-party Sony studios that will eventually start getting announced at some point. State of Play later this month. I don't know if any of that stuff's happening there. In fact, I would bet it's mostly third-party at that thing, and mostly third-party talking about how their games are going to be better on PS5 Pro. Who knows, though? And then, Microsoft has Indiana Jones coming out for Xbox, PC, and then later PS5. Even if, like, Indiana Jones is some massive hit, like a massive hit, I don't know if that changes much of the calculus of how Microsoft views anything, because it's like there's still so much risk exposure at that company that that's where I'm getting kind of bummed about all this. Is like it doesn't feel like even if the answers that they have are successful answers, that it really makes things feel that much better in the industry overall.
Right. It's like there's so few releases, and yet somehow the releases themselves feel inconsequential, like more so than ever.
Yep.
In a weird way. Hellblade came out and it did whatever it did, and it's like, well, was that good or bad? I don't know what happened because of Hellblade.
Yep, definitely. Also, Bloomberg's Jason Schreier reported that Annapurna Video Games team has resigned, leaving partners scrambling. Megan Ellison-led firm sees staffers quit after spinoff talks fail. So apparently it goes like this. Annapurna on the game side, I think Annapurna also makes movies. I never keep track of that stuff, but I think that's right. Annapurna, the video game side, has published a lot of cool stuff. They published the Outer Wilds, things like that. They have a team of 25 people that work on the publishing team, gathering up new games to put out. There's a lot of big stuff that they are working on. In fact, they just had a deal with Remedy to publish or work on or fund or something. Maybe not publish. I think Remedy's still going to publish Control 2, but they're helping to fund that. And then they have a deal to help make the movies and television shows based on that. That all just happened. At the same time, the people at Annapurna were having conversations with Megan Ellison, daughter of Larry Ellison, who was the founder of Oracle Enterprises, the big tech conglomerate. Megan Ellison that was going to say, hey, we will spin you off. You guys will be in charge of yourself over on your own as your own company. And everyone was going to stay around because of that. That fell through, sounds like because of Megan Ellison, and that led to every single person who currently works at Annapurna to resign and leave the company. And they put out a joint message saying that's why, and they're getting out of here, and that this sucks. They didn't want to do this, but they feel like they have no choice. It's a wild thing, Mike, but it's hard to get a reading on it. What do you think?
Yeah, it's just, it's such a drastic measure. You have to wonder about the kind of drama that led up to it, because it must have been some intense stuff. But, it's a shame. We got a lot of really good games from Annapurna Interactive in recent years. Lorelei and the Laser Eyes was this year. One of my favorites from last year was Cocoon. Neon White was freaking Annapurna. Jeez.
Just a lot of great hits, yeah.
Yeah, and there's there's some stuff on the horizon. One of the Silent Hill games, Townfall, was supposed to be with Annapurna. My understanding with the Remedy stuff is that deal was more part of Annapurna proper, Annapurna Pictures.
That
in
makes
some weird
sense,
way, so
right?
that's fine.
Right. Because the whole deal the whole time was Remedy's still going to self-publish those games, which means they would have no use for the Annapurna game side. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So that makes sense.
Yes,
Fair enough.
Yes. It's just Annapurna Pictures that they made the deal with.
I see in chat now people are saying so Remedy's fine. The Megan Ellison is saying everyone else that's working with us will also be fine. We intend to see these deals through. But with no one working there, what does that really mean?
What does it look like? So I don't know. Maybe hopefully the current deals all work out, but there's clearly no future to this thing, and it seemed like there was something special here that was benefiting a lot of people, and it kind of just went up in smoke for no reason.
Right, and it's what is a company? It is the people who work there. Obviously, all those people were out there making deals, making relationships to get these deals done in the first place. They're going to be able to do that wherever they go. likely 25 people all resigning at the same time, could just start up a new thing, probably going to be able to get funding from someone who maybe they prefer working with. Again, I don't know what it was like there, but I'm assuming they probably just didn't like working with Megan Ellison specifically. That's what it sounds like, and I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case. And so you take all that talent, you take all those relationships, you go get some funding somewhere, you could start up your own thing. Honestly, a lot of these people are probably already well connected and are able to get that funding one way or another already. So yeah, we'll see how that spins out, but it's unfortunate and weird. And then let's see here. Last thing, Unity did drop their runtime fee. So they were going to do that thing where it was going to be every time someone downloads a game, whether it's a free to play game or not, you got to give us money. There's a huge backlash, massive backlash to that. Now they announced today they are going back to the old way of doing things. Basically, it's like, let's see, there's a Unity Pro subscription, an 8% subscription price to $2,200 annually per seat. So basically, I think every time you have a developer working on it, it goes up a little bit. But it's much more reasonable now. And they are like making all these changes as they're getting ready to launch Unity 6. So seems like they were just waiting for this to come along before they made a bunch of changes. I kind of kept track of this back when it was first happening, and I thought they had completely backtracked, but apparently it's like they were just kind of pulled it back a little bit.
I thought they had already backtracked, but yeah, right, I guess that's a pull back a little bit. I have no idea what they're ever thinking with that. It sounded insanely stupid, especially at a time where people were kind of feeling down on Unity anyway. So what the hell are you doing here? I don't know. I still don't feel great about the future of Unity. It doesn't really seem like they know what they're doing over there.
Yeah, I think, and that's definitely seems to be the case, is that the company did go public, I believe, and it's been a rough ride for them ever since that IPO. All right, let's take a quick break. Lots of super chats, like I mentioned, have already come in. We will get to all of those right after this.
Break. I forgot to put Flappy Bird. It's coming back.
Oh, well, we could talk about
it. There's a super chat about it, so it'll come up.
Perfect. This Unity thing reminds me like they taken away the made with Unity splash screen. They're gonna make it optional.
Oh wow!
For the new Unity, for Unity 6. So it's like, remember all those memes of like, oh, made with Unity. Somebody didn't pay for the thing.
Yeah.
Now it's gonna be.
I think Unreal does something similar, unless you put it on like the Epic Store. If you put it on the Epic Store, then you don't have to pay the money to get rid of that or something. It's weird.
I thought it was funny.
Yep.
By the way, Sean's handle is under my video right now.
Yes,
that's okay.
Like, it's been there for, I don't know, like 2 months. I don't know.
What, really?
Yeah.
No, it hasn't been there that long.
No,
yeah, I'll get rid of that real quick. Hang on.
I don't believe you. I don't
Go
believe
check the
you.
older podcasts.
Yeah, sure.
All right.
You know how we do things around here.
There we go. Okay, let's bring it back.
Let's use Godot, everybody. Fuck Unity.
And we're back. Mike, we got a bunch of super chats. Let's get into those.
I wish my glasses were smaller and my muscles were bigger, so I felt more like Batista when I put them on.
You look very Batista coded.
Oh, because of the gray beard.
And the glasses.
Jacob Bent. The and the bonus. I want to look more Batista coded, but thank you. Jacob.
I did get I hadn't for a long time, but I did get Aquaman at the pharmacy the other day. She said, "You look like Aquaman," and then I said, "Maybe Aquaman was left out in the sun," which is always my go-to joke, and she laughed very much at that. Then that hurt my feelings. So like, we don't have to laugh that hard.
No, I'm allowed to think it's I'm allowed. That's
right. You're supposed to go, "Oh, no. You don't have to say that." But no, she just laughed.
I got to catch myself because like I like to be self-deprecating, right?
Uh-huh.
But like it's sometimes then becomes like invitation for people like, I'll make fun of you too. Then I'm like, no, I don't like what you do.
My
to be
job.
clear,
That's why I'm doing it, so you won't.
Right? Like no, I could say I look like the bad guy from Toy Story 2. When you do it,
right.
it makes me depressed for a day.
Exactly. I could say Jason Momoa, who's been microwaved for 30 seconds. That's what but you please don't say that.
Exactly. Jacob Betches, keep up the great work and get well soon. Mike, thank you. I am feeling much better today. Even last night, I was just laying there with a headache. You know what? I think a big part of my problem was, and I'm probably gonna get yelled at based off current things I said. I think I was pretty dehydrated. Maybe the last few days. I think I was not drinking enough water.
Mike.
Yeah, so
hater of water.
Shouldn't drink water. So I might have to work on that one a bit. Andy G with their third super chat, thank you, says the PlayStation 5 Pro is going to cost $1,360 with the disc drive in Australia. The PS4 Pro was only $560. All I want is 60 FPS, and I feel for the first time in 20 years that Sony is trying to rip me off. It is. I mean, Gosh, that is wild.
I mean, I think the reality is that the pricing is very much based on what they feel they can get away with, and that is always also then dictated by what they feel their competitors are doing. And I just don't think PlayStation feels any competition pressure anymore. And, we go back to, we talked about this in a recent episode where it's like back when they were first going up against Nintendo and Sega, and they felt like they had to really undercut Sega hard. They were always cutting the price of that PlayStation 1. That's the story from the beginning. And now they just don't feel the need to do that anymore. And that's the sad reality.
Do you think a lot of that is because we don't have a strong Xbox right now? Do you think that's a big part of it?
I think it's a huge part of it. Yeah. I think they are that's a huge part of it. And I think they just realize they should not be thinking about what the other company is doing for a variety of reasons, but also because it's not a strong Xbox.
Bloodborne PC 2025 with a super chat, no message, but thank you so much, Bloodborne.
Thank you.
Daily Beating, our Lincoln member says, Jeff, did you try Whataburger?
I did try Whataburger, and I thought it was very good, very tasty. I was like kind of looking lost a little bit. I was like trying to find the right ketchup, and went over there, and the lady was like immediately like in her Texas accent, "Nope, get the spicy ketchup." It's right there. I'm like, thank you so much. That's what I was looking for. That was very good. I got a jalapeno cheeseburger that I thought was very, very tasty. So yeah, I was pretty impressed by it. I don't know if it's something that like I would always seek out, but it's definitely something I would want to try again. I have gotten back into Wendy's recently, and I think it's kind of up there with Wendy's.
It's a funny sentence.
It's a funny sentence. I got back into Wendy's recently. It's true. That's where I am in my life.
But yesterday when I was feeling rough and after I got my blood work just to make sure there wasn't anything weird wrong, like I was just craving a cheeseburger. And I almost went to Wendy's and I went to Five Guys instead. But again, I used to like when I was like 13, right? And I could just eat anything. God, I loved Wendy's. Wendy's was
13 in Ohio is like, I think most meals are done at Wendy's for 13-year-olds in Ohio.
I think that's just prime Wendy's time.
All through high school, every day after high school, we would drive there.
Just like Arby's, Wendy's started in Ohio. Yep. We're a fast food capital of the world.
Yeah, we do a lot of great stuff here. That's right.
I'm very jealous. I have not had Whataburger. One of my best friends from like high school, I still talk to all the time. I think he went to school at University of Texas, so he loved Whataburger and talks about it all the time still. So to me, it sounds amazing.
I did do on the way back. I was back at Houston, and I did go to Papacitos, which is the other restaurant people suggested, and the Mexican restaurant, and that was very good. Although I think I was told to get the fajitas, and I did a burrito instead. And I'm like, I kind of regret. I wish I would have done the fajitas. The fajitas.
During my recent travels, I had a layover in Charlotte. Had to chance to get some Bojangles, and that was fun. So
I've never had Bojangles. I definitely want to try that.
It's good. Very similar to Popeyes. Al Grog says, how does Mike feel knowing he is a better gamer, role model, and person than Jeff and Dan for having Oreo Coke Zero on stream today? Feels good.
I have to acknowledge it. I have to, and my tribal chief.
You need to get one. I hope I'm not overselling it. I was very impressed.
I want to be clear. Like, before you had it, we was talking to Steph, and she brought it up, and she never cares about this gimmick shit. She's a grown woman. Like, she doesn't care about this sort of thing. But I guess her sister told her about it, and it was good. And my wife was like, maybe we should try it. And I'm like, okay, I guess, well, if you want to do it, we're definitely making this happen. So now that you
you sound like you two are about to like try hymns or something.
It's going to change our life.
If you want to.
I'm going to bring it to the bed. Yeah, absolutely. But no, I'm just like very curious to see her reaction. But I'm like, I bet it's going to work on me. I'm going to like it quite a bit.
I tell you what, like, they do a lot of these gimmick Cokes. Usually I either think they're fine or I straight up don't like them. Sure. Like that spiced Coke Zero, big disappointment.
What about the space one, the Galaxy one? How'd you think about that?
Yeah, that one was not, I didn't like that one that much either. Like this one should maybe just be an ongoing flavor of Coke now. It's fantastic. I'm a very big fan.
Remember Vanilla Coke, which I think is probably still a thing, but
yeah, Vanilla Coke is still a thing. It's like it is there, but it actually does have that kind of like Oreo cookie flavor too, and that's like the lingering taste on your mouth.
That's
is
crazy.
That like Oreo, and it's really good. It's really good.
I'm gonna try it.
Gorgard, their first super chat, says, Mike, I'm pretty sure you were my first match at Marvel vs. Capcom 2 against the person in 15 years. Thanks for picking the Japanese ROM. Couldn't find my assist. Now, I did play somebody who was using the Japanese ROM. I didn't pick it, though, so I don't know how it happened. But if you played me and it was my team, I don't know if you heard, Jeff, my team in Marvel vs. Capcom 2 now is just every lady in the game who has a hat. the Femme Fatales.
Oh, that's really good. That's really good.
Well, Nikki came up with the name. I already designed that. So it was, so I have Joe Valentine, Cammy, and Ruby Hart. So that's my team right now.
Okay.
But
the hat ladies. Sure.
The hat ladies, the Femme Fatales.
That's exciting. Okay. Well, I will want to play that game, so I'll see them in person.
It's funny if I did actually play Gorgard there. I will say, so far, I've won all my sets online. I'm feeling very happy.
Wow.
We'll see if that continues.
Whoa.
At least in the
You might be a
com,
pro.
yeah.
You seemed very
will get
confident in
ready.
that game when I played you. I was just like blindly
That
pressing
was-
buttons, and you seemed to know what you were doing.
I play.
Magneto is technically using a hat. Does that count?
No, ladies. I said ladies.
Oh, ladies. Wow.
Ladies in hats. So no M. Bison, no Magneto. The helmets is a little iffy because Spiral, I think, wears a helmet or whatever. And I'm not playing a Spiral. I'm sorry. No offense. Next one here is Willow. Dave says, since I correctly diagnosed your guys' COVID, I'll say Mike has porphyria, aka vampire disease. Stay out of the sun and take an iron supplement so you don't steal it from people's blood. There's no cure. Okay, I'll just never go outside again. Thank you, Willow.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
RDX Son of a Fett says, PlayStation 5 Pro, huge win for new gen Xbox in 2026. New Xbox will be more powerful and hopefully $600. Plus, it'll have Steam and PlayStation games. PlayStation 5 Pro in Canada is $960. That's too much for anyone to justify. What is the Xbox side of things here? Because they're not going to have a Pro model, but we also, a PlayStation 6 is maybe 4 years away. There's no way the next Xbox is 4 years away.
No, I think the next
So what
Xbox
is the
does
play
come in
here?
2026. That sounds right, but it ain't gonna be $600. Like they've already built it up by saying this will be the biggest leap between consoles, which it's just no way that's true. But whatever.
Right, so that's a lie.
They're good, but they're gonna have to try to play to that. I think it's boutique. I think the thing's probably $800, and really, it could be $900. And then what do we just say? If it could be, it's going to be. So I think there's a world in which the next Xbox is mega boutique, mega powerful, and they just try to sell it to only the most hardcore Xbox fans who will pay just about anything. I think it's $900.
We'll see. Again, a lot of this is going to be sort of decided based off how well the PS5 Pro does. I'm sure Microsoft's going to be paying very close attention to this thing.
Yeah, just after this last generation, they will. I think they're done undercutting their own prices. Both these companies.
I am glad that these two are kind of out of sync with each other finally, though, right?
Yes, it clearly was desperately needed. It just didn't made everything so boring and safe and conservative, and they needed to do their own thing and try to find ways to get hook shots in on the other one instead of just straight jabbing at one another. It was boring.
Bandana Bush says the rumor is the PlayStation 5 Pro is going to have architecture that modern RDNA 3 AMD GPUs don't have. Have you all heard anything about that? I think that's what they mean by, quote, advanced ray tracing, end quote.
What?
Yeah, I mean, this is what we talked about a little bit. It's going to have RDNA 4 features probably to power the ray tracing, which is stuff that's again, this is what NVIDIA GPUs have. Not the same exact thing, obviously. It'll be AMD's version of that. But NVIDIA has, the tensor cores, whatever they're called, to power the ray tracing. And that is something that AMD has not been able to match, even in RDNA 3. So that's probably going to be in the next generation of GPUs. It sounds like Sony has been asking for exactly that and will be able to debut this stuff in the PS5 Pro. Now, again, I just don't know who cares about ray tracing. But I think that's probably right.
Jesse Sacken says, in the Gruberverse, Jeff is the postmaster at FedEx and Mike, a doctor, actually making his parents proud. You left gaming behind, but you still host podcasts. What are they about, and what's the names? Do we have a conspiracy theory podcast?
Yeah, probably. Because we got to we both have big important jobs. We want to let our hair down a little bit. We definitely start off with Bigfoot, but we do one episode about a big political conspiracy, and it does way better than everything else, and then we just immediately become grifters.
I don't know how to react to people when they tell me they like conspiracy theories, because I don't want to ask them this, but I don't know. It's oh, you mean you think that's a fun thing even though you know it's not true, or do you actually believe it? I was at a party and somebody's was there talking about Bigfoot for a while. I was oh yeah, I love Bigfoot. I think it's someone, oh Bob, and part of me's does this motherfucker really believe in Bigfoot, or is it just fun?
I think you're right, because I think the reason people say, oh, I do it for fun, is because they want to believe it, or they do believe it and they know they can get away with it. They say, well, it's just a joke. I think you're 100% right about that. I only ever like it when it's I like watching a bunch of those flat earther conspiracy videos, and then I like watching all the people that debunk it, because that's
like
a good time.
Watching it, yeah.
Yeah, hate watching, exactly. Yes.
Yeah, you're lol cowing it or whatever.
Yeah, all right. And I'm like losing my mind and pulling my hair out, and then I'll watch a bunch of smart people debunk it, and that's a good time.
So yeah, to be clear, I do not like conspiracy theories, even as like a fun. I hate them. But yeah, our podcast will be called "Losing Our Mind." There we go. I like it.
Perfect.
Maybe we get really into politics to do that. And to be clear, what I remember telling Dan about that when I was hanging out with him was, I thought I told him, I'm surprised how much you talk about politics in real life.
Right. And he like
That sounds correct.
because he does like
told
pay
him,
attention
you
to this
talk
stuff.
about politics more than anybody I know. That's not true.
he pays a ton of attention to that stuff in like a cursory way, where it's like he does know what's going on and is ready to talk about it all the time. But
all I did was give it to him as a compliment. Then he turned around and was like, Mike thinks I know more about politics. And what he knows, isn't he an idiot? Dan's using his bad memory against me lately to make me seem
great.
like
I love
a
that.
fool.
Never mind. This is fantastic.
Right? He brought up like, I finally met Grumpy Mike while we were traveling. I'm like, yeah, Dad, one of my crows was flaring up the one day, and then when I had COVID, you made me walk up a hill for a mile. Yeah.
Like, to be fair, that was Grumpy Mike, but it's like you had your excuses. You're so good most of the time. It's
I'm usually so good. Anyways, let's talk shit about Dan. Dan was wild today with some of the things.
He did.
He was asking about.
Yeah. Well, I don't remember any of them, but yeah, he was wild.
I remember too.
Please.
May I remind you?
Please.
Number 1, does metal conduct electricity?
Okay, yeah, that was
2,
pretty wild.
Is all beef cow?
Yeah, he did say those things. At this point, it's like it's so shocking that I just have to kind of like immediately let it go out in one ear and out the other. But it's like, yeah, of course. Like, what else conducts electricity? Like, if you wanted to, when you put the batteries in, what do you think the metal's there for?
What are batteries?
Yeah, what are batteries?
What are lights?
Yeah.
What are light bulbs, actually?
God, what is that tungsten doing, you think? Oh, man.
What's a tungsten? All right. Love you, Dan. Next up is from Chris Pratt, who, my bad. We actually have one from,
Postman Dan.
Postman Dan, is that right? Why do I feel like I'm missing something? Postman Dan says, Thursday, beef and cheddar injection. This is right. Is this it? Is this the event horizon of console gaming? Feels like we're heading for a gaming black hole. Jeff, I've been listening to an audiobook about the history of computers. I'm learning a lot about computer science finally, right? So I'm learning about Moore's Law and things like that. And it feels like Moore's Law is not a thing anymore, right?
It's not really
never been a thing.
It's
well,
it was
a kind of be a thing.
A law.
Well, it's not a law, right? It wasn't passed by
like
Congress.
A literal law. It's not like Newton's law of gravity. I understand that.
Yeah, things for a long time there did follow this principle of they got twice as powerful and half as expensive at the same rate for a very long time, and it's definitely not a thing anymore. They will. I think what's happening here is actually a good sort of allegory for what will happen with consoles. So what's going to happen with Moore's Law is they were just shrinking the size of the die, and they were shrinking the size of the lithograph that they were using. So when they talk about like 7 nanometers versus 5 nanometers, that's just like basically how thick the lines are on the printed circuit board, and the smaller those lines are, the less heat they produce, so the more efficient they are, and the more powerful they can be running the same instructions. And at the same time, they were actually able to make the instructions run better overall. They were improving that stuff, whatever. That is kind of reached the physical limit. They kind of can't make things that much smaller than 3 nanometers, 2 nanometers, and even when they do, it takes a lot longer than it's taken in the past. So what they're going to do is they're going to find new ways to make these things improve in terms of performance, but it's going to require some more experimentation and thinking outside the box instead of just doing the same thing they've always done. And I think we just talked about, we're glad that Microsoft and PlayStation are out of sync and are now trying things that are different from what they've always done. So they will also kind of slowly find new ways to build on top of the console experience and keep it valid. If they don't, they're kind of fucked. So they're going to have to like that. And that's the same thing for the power of the processors.
Chris Pratt says, my friend Jim Ryan said Tupas would appear in 8K on PlayStation 5 Pro. We've come a long way since the days of stomping Upas on an arcade CRT.
Yes, we have, Chris Pratt. That's right. It's a beautiful thing.
Him ending on the ...
After a period. There's a period and then ...
every
Dots,
time.
4 dots.
Tupas.
Just thinking about those tupas.
Connell Wood says, "Lol, Floppy Bird 2 was revealed to be crypto junk."
Yeah,
Is this true?
That doesn't seem too surprising. I don't know if it's true, but
Is the Flappy Bird revival a crypto
I was
thing after
getting
all?
bad vibes from it when people mentioned that it was apparently acquired by some holding company, and that's how they and then they took some other game and made that Flappy Bird. So yeah, people in chat are saying yes. That doesn't seem too surprising. Holy shit!
All right. I'm glad I never really cared too much about Flappy Bird, but I know he meant a lot to you, Jeff. I'm sorry.
Thank you. Flappy Bird does mean a lot to me. I like that game a lot, but anytime a holding company shows up to like buy, I'm like, oh, those are crypto bros. This is that not surprising at all.
Cody Bishop says, "Have you ever watched the Cinema Snob on YouTube?" I have not.
I've
Jeff,
not
have
either.
you?
No, that does not ring a bell.
Speaking of cinema, did you see Beetlejuice?
Nah, I it seemed mid to me. So when you went to see it
Okay.
and confirmed that, not too surprised.
Some people do like it though, so maybe I'm just me
I've heard
about this one.
way more. It's fine than I've heard people who like it. And even
Okay.
the people who like it are like tend to agree with all the
I
same
almost want you to
criticisms.
see it just to make sure like I'm not crazy,
All
because
right.
there's this one scene in the movie where like the script doesn't want Beetlejuice in the next scene, and instead of like using like the subplots going around, like the ex-wife who wants to kill him as a means to like get him out of the scene, he just goes, "I have to go to the bathroom," and like goes a different way down the hallway than the other character. I'm like, what? That's crazy. And
That
then when he
is
reappears, he's
insane.
like, "I have to find Lydia." I'm like, "Yeah, well, you're the one who left her." I don't know. I'm going crazy.
I was hearing,
Mike, that
I was
sounds
hearing
pretty
good
bad.
stuff until I was hearing good stuff about this movie until Mike said like, "Oh, it's kind of mid," and then after he said that, I started seeing all the bad takes. All I takes he said is bad, and I was like, "Oh, damn."
Yeah, he broke the
floodgates.
dam. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, Cinema Snob. Maybe I'll look that up. Connell Wood says also Annapurna and Xbox jobs garbage news today. Yeah, not great news there, huh?
Yeah, it's just a kind of a been that way, the roller coaster, right? Where things are good and then things are really bad again.
Mikey O'Leary says PS5 Pro officially announced. You know what that means? Quackshot remake confirmed.
Yep.
All right, let's go.
Drake's got to stop dodging it.
Nick says in the Mushroom Kingdom they're eating the Goombas. These brothers that came in, they're eating the Koopa. Yeah, we're doing. It's pretty good.
He lost his mind for sure.
Absolutely. James Downs says, "Do you?" I'm telling you what. That's not helping the whole Ohio being a meme state lately thing. By the way,
No.
that's great. James Downs says, "Do you think even the PS6 will have enough of a jump at technology to make the upgrade from PS5 worth it? Will there be software to support it?"
I don't know. I feel like these next 2 to 4 years, however long it takes to get a PS6, will probably be closer to 4 than 2, is about figuring out a lot of the problems that they will need to figure out to make a PS6 make sense. And I have some faith that will happen just because there's so much money at stake. So yeah, I think they'll be able to get a powerful console, sell it for a relatively reasonable price. What will be reasonable then will be $700 though. And then whether or not will there be software, I think a lot of developers are going to be figuring that stuff out. I think they mostly have, and now we're going to see the fruits of them sort of experimenting and be like, here's how we're going to make games make sense. And I think we'll start to really see that land in about 3 to 4 years.
Grug says, actual question for once, but there is no shot that GTA 6, Monster Hunter Wilds, or even Dragon's Dogma 2 will be 60 FPS on the PlayStation 5 Pro, right?
It's hard for me to just go off the top of my head, but I mean, I think Monster Hunter Wilds probably not.
I don't think any Capcom games were in that initial list, right? There's no Dragon's Dogma. There was no like Resident Evil 4 or anything like that.
Dragon's Dogma 2, my guess, I'm trying to remember, thought that was pretty CPU bound. That they were trying to like simulate so much across the world there. And of course, GPUs are getting better at simulation. Right. They are. But I don't think these developers are actually taking advantage of that for these games, and I don't know how the Reach for the Moon engine works in regards to that. So yeah, I think Dragon's Dogma 2 will probably continue to be 30. Maybe it gets like a 45 frames per second mode, which I wouldn't hate. GTA 6, I'm not like ready to like confirm, that's definitely only going to be 30 frames per second. Maybe some miracle happens. But with GTA, has any GTA since 3 launched at higher than 30 frames per second on console? Was like GTA 3 even 60 frames per second?
GTA
Probably
4 was unlocked, but it ran around 30.
Okay, right. It went up and down. They might do that. They might unlock it and say, hey, just use your VRR to get like a smoother experience. I don't know. I'm gonna say it's probably gonna be closer to 30 than to 60 though.
Edgar Marino says about to hit 10,000 matches on Street Fighter 6. Send help. Hey, you need to jump on that
10,000?
Marvel vs. Capcom
10,000?
fighting game collection thing with me.
Yeah, that's
you
help.
got to throw down to Marvel, baby.
Only 10,000, Edgar. What's going on, buddy? You need to put this number up. Come on, boy. I think I have like 20 or something like that.
I want to play.
Shouts to Edgar. That's one of the people I met at Evo.
Oh,
So it makes
cool.
sense they would have 10,000.
Hell yeah. Good for you, Edgar.
He needs help in getting this number up. Let's go, baby. You got it.
I do want to play some more Street Fighter 6 once Terry comes out for sure. Burrito says Steam OS is great, but I found the base deck is not super optimized for TV hookup. Who? Microsoft, Valve, etc. Do you think might be the first to the stationary PC to TV space? Sorry if I misinterpreted your comments. I got here late.
That's basically kind of what I was getting.
I thought Valve already made a jump for that market at one time, right? They made a play there.
Right. I think
A little early, maybe.
a little early, kind of misreading the market at that time. Also, I think people were rightfully skeptical of like a Steam big picture mode at that moment. It's really improved. I think if you take the Steam OS experience now, put it on stuff. I don't know who necessarily the first shaker would be. Right now, it does feel like it is probably going to be Steam OS. And they'll probably just partner up with like Asus or something, one of these small, tiny PC manufacturers, have that actually launch with Steam OS. And that could be very cool at this moment. But I think that Microsoft will have to respond.
You know what I'm learning about in my computer book right now?
I would love to hear it, actually. What book is this?
About how Xerox was the one who funded a lot of the major developments of the internet and personal computers, and then like
and GUIs. Yep.
Yeah, and then like didn't like know how to actually make any money or sell any of it.
Have you ever seen Pirates of Silicon Valley?
No,
if you're reading this right now, you should go. Honestly, I don't know where. It might just be on YouTube. That's about Steve Jobs and Bill Gates, and about how they basically were, like, there's a whole speech at the end where he's like, "We both have these rich neighbors called Xerox, and we went into their house and stole their shit. And you want to say I stole from you? We both stole from Xerox. It's a great movie. It rules."
I may have seen the end of that's a TV movie, right? I may have seen the end of it when it like first came out. Yep. I remember because wasn't it a sticking point that Steve Jobs was trying to say, you stole the mouse from us?
Yes.
And
he's like, Bill Gates is like, no, we both stole it from Xerox, you fucking crazy person. Now, to be fair, he definitely stole a lot from Mac, but
I love imagining this alternate reality where Xerox is the computer company. And it could have been. It should have been, apparently.
They had all the research and development.
A lot of it.
Absolutely, yes.
It's Park.
I love thinking about that stuff. What is this book?
It's called the Dream Machine. It's largely from Linklighter's perspective, or Licklighter, right? That guy, the guy who like first was like detailing what the internet would be.
Oh, okay, sure, yes.
His name is a bunch of letters than Licklighter.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
All right.
Yeah,
Tater. You should listen to the Behind the Bastard episodes on Steve Jobs. It's really good. They really go in detail of how he managed that company. It's pretty good.
JCR Licklighter.
Okay, JCR Licklighter. Okay.
Yeah, the guy who Symbiosis was his memo that detailed what personal computers and what would become the internet could possibly be. And yeah, so next up is from Antonio Morales, League member for 20 months. Thank you. Says, now that time has passed, I can finally admit this. Dan was right. Kirby is not a good speedrunning game.
How was that Dan's position? Dan was, it's not a good video game.
Well, but it was his attempts to try to speedrun it in Nintendo World Championships that really set him off, I guess, because he had like double tapping to run. So.
Yeah, I kind of got into Kirby with that stuff, but I get it. It's an acquired taste.
Ali Miracle says, what's this about Squirrel Girls? And look, I don't have to elaborate on everything I say. Matt Rare Monkey says, how many people is
Hold the fuck up. Hang on. How many years have you given me shit for my Fox thing? And now you're on Squirrel Girls and you think you can just walk away from
like
this?
Squirrel Girls, to be clear.
I don't believe that for a second. You don't talk about something so much.
I don't like them.
That's too much.
Matt Rare Monkey says, how many
Gadget
people...
a squirrel girl?
No, Gadget's a rat.
Okay.
There were squirrels in that show. That one
Listen,
episode.
I'm just asking questions.
No, she's a mouse, or probably more of a mouse than a rat. She's a mouse.
All right.
Matt Rare Mucky says, "How many people is Justin Wong going to make refund Marvel vs. Capcom 2?"
My God! Oh my God! This motherfucker! You can in Marvel vs. Capcom in this collection, you can assign like shortcuts for the supers. So he's playing Zangief. So he shoots fucking level 3 motherfuckers out of the blue, out of nowhere, because if you had to do the motion, you can see it coming, or you had to jump in. Now he's doing issues like, because in Marvel you move like 1,000 miles per hour, where he's just like running and shoots level 3 motherfuckers left and right all night. It was crazy.
I thought on ranked mode you couldn't do that super shortcut thing, at least, but who knows? Maybe he's messing around on lobbies or
I don't know. He was just cooking people. He's crazy.
The ceiling is very high in Marvel vs. Capcom 2, and I was worried about that just jumping into random online matches, because you can't do things like infinites and whatnot. But at least so far, I haven't had a match where I'm just want to throw my computer away, which is things that happens in other fighting games sometimes.
Today I got one infinite today, done on
Nice.
somebody, and that's it. Can't get
Was it the Iron Man one or something else?
Yeah, I do. I use War Machine, but for some reason I couldn't get it in War Machine done. So I'm gonna play him.
I know Iron Man's better, but I kind of want to play as War Machine anyways, because I like his bark when he does Proton Cannon more, because he's the one who yells, "It's my Sunday's best." It's my Sunday best.
Oh my God. Yeah, you're so right.
Right.
Yeah, this fucking War Machine rules.
And next up is Jay Rumper, who says, "Jeff, how can you say Xbox isn't strong when they're about to overtake PlayStation revenue? Both can do better, but Xbox just needs to release games."
Yeah, I mean, I think it was the point of comparison that we were making, is that why does PlayStation feel so much like they can get away with this price? It's because they don't feel much competition from Xbox in console sales.
At least in terms of selling consoles.
In console sales, right? Yes. If there was, I think it's the sentence I said. We're going to set this at $700, this PS5 Pro, and what are you going to do? We don't think you're going to go buy an Xbox, and we know you're not going to go buy a PC. And is that not how they feel? Is there a reason they shouldn't feel that way? I don't see the argument why they shouldn't feel that way. I think they're right to feel that way. And so they're going to get away with it because Xbox is not strong in that particular way. Now, maybe is Xbox stronger for setting up for some new future of what video games look like that feels like a post-console future? Maybe. I think that's yet to be seen, but maybe they are. And having Call of Duty obviously helps with that. I mean, if we're talking about the long-term future, 50 years from now, maybe Microsoft is in a better position. But right now, for setting the price of a console, clearly PlayStation's in a better position.
Concord the Plane says, "My Switch Joy-Con stick stopped working again." Well, that's fun. Sorry to hear about that.
Yeah, it's rough. I'm sorry.
Yeah. That boy Jerry says, "Why does Star Wars Outlaws take like 10 plus hours to get interesting? It's a problem with every Ubisoft game, and it makes me worried for Assassin's Creed Shadows."
Yeah.
We're playing Outlaws. Is it a slow start again?
Scattered start is, I think, how I would describe it, where it's just, you feel like there's probably some interesting stuff over here, and then the game sort of just sends you in a bunch of different directions at first. And then once you start getting your ship and you're traveling, you run into fucking Lando Calrissian, and you can go to Tatooine and do some cool stuff with Jabba, even though it's Tatooine, we've seen it a million times, but there is more interesting stuff on there. It is definitely a game that gets better the more you play. I liked it enough at the start, but the more I played, I'm like, yeah, they maybe should have given you some of these blaster abilities quicker at the start.
You see, they're patching some of the early stealth missions to make them a bit more forgiving. Apparently, that was a bit of a pain point with people.
I think that's the right move, because I think some of the later stealth missions that I've done post 10 hours into the game have been very interesting. A big part of that is they're just more interesting levels in terms of their design, and then they're also more interesting in their setting, because I'm going into Imperial facilities, and that's just cool to see, and seeing all the different stormtroopers and stuff like that. Yeah, a game that definitely gets better, and if they could expedite that process of it getting better, that the game would be better overall.
And Jedi Moss says, "A wild thing about the PlayStation 5 Pro video is a big marketing beat is improvements to PS4 games. Gens don't matter. No games are left behind anymore."
Yeah, there's like 60 games or something like that. They say will just be improved day one. Nah, it doesn't feel like a huge list. Maybe it's more than that. Maybe it's a bunch more, but I thought that was the number I heard. Yeah, the people want to see that. It's just not some magic bullet that's going to get people what they really want, which is Bloodborne at 60 frames per second. So, yeah.
Right. All right, that's it for Super Chats for now. If you all want to send in any more, we will read them before the end of the show. But, Jeff, back to you.
All right. What we're going to do is take another quick break while I get set up for our tier list. We're going to do a tier list of mid-gen refreshes and upgrades and slim models and all that stuff right after this.
Light punch,
But
medium punch, which is
Light
light
kick.
punch twice.
I'll let you. Let me take Penny out while you get set up.
Yep, no problem. Do your thing.
I'm amazed Mike doesn't know that video. It's like the video, the NBC video. Like,
Did you listen to the Bombcast now, Christian?
No, I didn't.
Okay. Tam convinced him to bring it up while we were in the episode, and Mike just kept a straight face and like, "This is an interesting video." Like,
Oh my god!
he clearly heard what he needed to hear. It was really good.
Light punch, medium punch, light kick, heavy punch.
There we go.
It's a good infinite. It's the easiest infinite.
Do you see Say Jam's new tournament that he's running his Discord, Christian?
No, what? I missed out.
Well, I think it's like community run, but it's like under his banner. The Burrito Bowl, sponsored by Chipotle.
Yeah,
It's
I'll
good.
do it.
It's good stuff.
Oh man, I love Sejam.
Good guy.
Good guy.
Can you guys see this enough in chat? You want to? I can maybe make it a little bit bigger and you can just have this other stuff out to the right cut off.
You
But
got the letters, like that's what matters.
okay, cool, good deal.
Yeah.
No F? There has to be an F.
We can add an F.
Yeah, I don't know.
You can like
Some
that
people put
live,
F on
right? Can I do that
their
live?
submissions.
Yeah. You should be
add a
able to.
row above, add a row
Might have
below.
to zoom out a little bit to accommodate, but
Yeah. I'll be able to do that.
Let's just see how it pans out.
Yeah.
Whenever you move something into the rows, it's gonna adjust it to that size. So don't
All
worry
right.
about that.
Okay. I think I got most of the consoles. I might have missed something here or there.
Oh, we can add them up.
Yeah.
well, this is a pre-made one, right? You didn't make it.
I
did
did
you?
make this because I could not find one that I
Oh.
could not find one that was what I needed. So I took one that had a bunch of these pictures. I went to inspect element so I could
Yeah.
actually download the fucking pictures because tier makers like got to protect these. Go to hell. So I
Yeah.
inspected the elements, got a bunch, and the one I had did not have the NES top loader. So I'm like, already this is not great. But then they had a
Fucked
bunch.
up, dude.
They had a bunch of the rest. So I think we're pretty good for the rest. And then I put the PS5 Pro here.
Well, as long as you have like PS2 Slim and the SP, you'll cover like 90% of the community.
Yes.
submissions.
Yeah, for sure. Yes, God. Yeah, there's a lot of ones in here that I'm like, I'll just
It's
include that. Why
probably
not?
it's not like they're protecting the thing. I think it's probably whatever code they're running.
Sure,
it's
to make
like-
it interactable. Yeah, that you're probably right. I don't know. I bet they can make it interactable and still let me right click and download, but whatever. Inspect
Yeah,
element
but-
ain't that hard to do. It's like one extra
Just go
step.
to- do you know that you can just go to applications on the thing and see all the images on the site? Crazy.
No, I didn't know that. How do I do that? What do I do?
Yeah, I'll tell you after.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, just right
You
clicking
can
on the
like
thing.
sort by
Inspect
file
element,
type.
and then you just click right here, and then it actually, if you click on it, it opens up in the bar over
I know.
here.
But
I was
if you
doing
go
that.
to like the bar above on top and go to applications, you can go to the thing to the list, and it lists you all the images that are on the
Cool.
the page.
All right, we'll try that. That'd be very cool.
Easy.
All right,
And-
Mikey,
and
you ready?
Sometimes they have different.
Yep.
Sorry. All right, let's do this.
Okay. Let's make sure. I
Oh
got
wait, do
that.
you have the thread up also?
I should, but
With the
let
submissions?
me double check. Let's see here.
I'll send you the link if you have.
I got it right there. Podcast threads.
All right, perfect. Just so you can just switch it out.
Yep.
Switch around.
Wish I could collapse that, but whatever. Whatever. I'll just have to move things.
Light kick.
Okay, let's do this. I'm gonna bring it back in.
Let's do it.
All right, we're back. It's Game Mess Decides. I'm your host, Jeff Grubb. There's Mike Minotti still. We are going to do a tier list. So I made a little thing in Tier Maker that has a bunch of the console refreshes, whether those are Slims, top loaders, pros, whatever. They're all on here. SPs. They're all represented in one way or the other for the most part. Maybe I forgot something. I don't think I really did, though. But if I did, we'll cross that bridge. But, Mike, I want to ask you, what do you think is the best criteria we should use here? Because I'm thinking maybe we should just go based on vibes.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many things that it is a lot of. I think vibe, the new, appearance, maybe maybe a price if there were any actual improvements to the hardware, stuff like that. Because yeah, there's a lot of things there.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things, and I think these consoles get by, especially like once there's such known quantities on how much people are excited by them, and there's a bunch of reasons they might be excited about it. All right. Oh, sorry, my heartburn's really hitting me. Let me see if I can. All right, there we go. Okay. Let's just kind of go in the general order I have here, although I put the NES, the top loader. Yeah, let's just do that one first. That one feels like an early good example. All right, Mike, we had the NES, then we got the NES top loader. How do you feel about that one? What tier do you want to put in here? We have S, A, B, C, and D, and I can add tiers or remove them as needed.
It's probably enough tiers. Top loader is pretty good. I mean, the best thing about the top loader is that it just worked better.
It just worked, yes.
People
People
than the old
like
toaster, right?
Forever, I thought it was the games. It's like, oh no, it was the NES that was the problem, and the top loader just fixed all those issues. So every game I had that I was blowing into or whatever, or cleaning with those alcohol swabs, just worked when I put them in the top loader, and that was very exciting to see. Also, I kind of like the way it looks.
I like the way it looks. It's almost so small. It's like, oh, wow, this thing almost feels kind of like, it felt more like a toy than ever.
Yeah.
And it always was a toy. But that was also kind of the neat thing of it. And we talked about Moore's Law. Here was a point where the revision of a console would be significantly smaller at this point because it was just so much easier to make smaller versions of these things. Granted, at this point, this is a revision of hardware that dated back to like 84 in Japan with the Famicom.
Right, and it was based on a processor that had been around for a very long time at that point. So
yeah, you have the new controllers with it that are a bit more comfortable, though. I still have more nostalgia for the hard edges of the original NES controller. I like that power switch in it. That always felt satisfying. That big red switch to throw up and down. I mean, I feel like it's probably at least an A, right?
Yeah, I was thinking maybe a B just because it came so late, or at least it felt it came so late that it was like there weren't a lot of people out there getting these things, and I think a lot of people didn't feel the need for it, even though it obviously would have solved the problem. I kind of lean toward B, but I don't know if you want to put an A. We could start off strong in A. I think it's
put
good.
An A for now.
Okay,
and maybe that's
I feel good about that. I think that's fine. Okay,
Yeah.
The Atari Lynx Generation 2.
I didn't know there's more than one Atari Lynx, Jeff.
Yeah, and I think kind of just by sort of default, maybe this thing can go pretty low. I don't hate it. I mean, when I look at the thing, I think it was just like skinnier, or maybe they had a better screen on it. But I don't know much about this thing.
I'm shocked that the Lynx lasted long enough to get a revision.
Yeah, it was definitely. I think it was like one where it's like I think there was some serious problems with the first generation or something like that, and they just kind of made Gen 2 somewhat better. But I don't know. We can either put it on one of these tiers, or we could just like make a dumper tier and just like dump it off into the side.
Oh, I like a dumper tier. Let's dump it.
Okay, all right. Let me do that.
Get dumped.
And add a row below.
A dump truck.
Yes, and then.
I like how Dan didn't like the word dump truck because he associates dumps with shit too much. So.
Yeah, I was like, all right, Dan, I get it, but just be a little bit more creative with your thinking here. Get on board with the new lingo, bud. Okay, the TurboGrafx 16 Mini.
The Mini isn't that a mini console or is that a revision?
Is that might be a mini console? I did just kind of take this from the thing. You can double check though, because I was just kind of I'm like I saw that I'm like, did they make a smaller one called the Mini? That might be just a mini console.
I think that's just a retro console.
All right, I'll just dump that in the dump. Then I'll get rid of that. The Game Boy Pocket.
Ooh. The Game Boy Pocket. That's some good stuff because the original Game Boy was hefty. It was really big, and it did have that kind of awkward green-yellow tint to it. This thing was just the ideal form of the Game Boy. It's like what Plato was talking about, right?
Yep.
There's like the ideal form of a chair, and all of the chairs in the real world are just bad copies of it. This was the ideal original Game Boy, and it was glorious.
It was sleek and sexy. Like it was like when the first time Nintendo had really accomplished that with one of these devices. I think they'd do it a bunch more, but it was like they made it feel so attractive, and especially in the marketing, which I thought was very good. Just slipping in the pocket and stuff. Yeah, this is a cool looking device.
It's kind of an S tier for me.
I think we could do S tier, but I think we might there just might be some that I'm like are definitely clearly better, and maybe we could just put them ahead of this, or maybe there is like a God tier we could put above this or something like that. But S tier feels right for the Game Boy Pocket. It's a really cool device. Well, then what about the Super NES Generation 2?
Gosh, to me, it's just an uglier SNES.
It
to
feels,
be
I think
honest,
even if I don't necessarily know if I think it's ugly, but I think it's very pedestrian. And it's just so bleh to look at.
it's really simple. It's just, I don't know, like the original SNES. Something about that design really works with me. The colors and the edges and the lines, and this is just, it's just, I don't know. It's boring. It's kind of boring.
Yeah. Boring, I think is the right way of putting it. Does boring get you C or D though?
Probably just C. It's not offensive.
I think that's where I'm at too. It's like, it feels very much like just the mediocre, you turned in your homework, so you're going to get a grade and you're going to get a C. All right. Then the Genesis Generation 2.
Genesis 2 is actually pretty good. I think I might ultimately prefer the way the original looks, but I don't hate the way the Generation 2 looks at all. And it was slightly more reliable machine.
Right. I think they made some actual
like,
improvements with this one. Yeah.
Yeah. I think like games actually sound a little bit different on it. I can't remember.
Right.
If
There's definitely one of these has a different sound processor, sound chip, whatever they call it. That definitely happened, but I don't know if it's like bad or is it just a matter of taste. I think is kind of how it comes down for some of these. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I like this one. I don't love it, but I think the Genesis 2 is.
Doesn't have a headphone jack.
No, it doesn't have a headphone jack anymore. I think
it goes in the dump. Then no,
might be a B.
I think this one is our first B, and I think it's very good. I like the Genesis 2 quite a lot. The Genesis Gen 3 though, wasn't this kind of junky?
This thing looks like garbage.
Yeah,
I
definitely
hate
looks
the way
bad.
this thing looks. That fucking 3 on it looks so stupid.
It's like
it's
hokey.
so aggressive.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know, it's kind of embarrassing and try hard. I like trying to make it matter by putting the number on there to be like Gen 3. It's no good.
I hate the way the Gen 3 looks.
Right, and and I thought, the Majesco Genesis 3, is this like, wasn't this made by someone else other than Sega? Like they outsourced it or something like that? I'm trying to place my history. I just remember this thing being considered to be junk for the most part.
I hate looking at it. It's my least favorite so far.
I say we put it in D then.
Yeah, I think it goes in the
like
bottom.
a Brazilian version?
No, they sold these in the U.S. They sold these here. It was
I think Christian might be honest. I think it was sold there first in South America, or like it was a bigger market there, but we did get in the U.S. And Jeff is right. It was basically a clone console that they like outsourced, even though it was
it's Brazil's fault.
It's just like always.
God,
the Game Boy Color.
Fuck you.
Okay.
What is that doing on here?
Okay.
Look. I want to really ask you.
Yeah.
With everything else we just talked about, you really think the Game Boy Color is like all these other things we just talked about?
Look, it is clearly not just like the rest of these. It is. I think it's still a revision. It goes beyond just being a revision. I think it is the thing that informed Nintendo that going forward, that they don't need to do such hard revisions in the future. They can just make smaller improvements. But this, the Game Boy was begging for color, so they made it feel like a new console. We don't have to actually put it on this list. I won't even put it in the dumper. All right, can I just delete it? I'll put it at the end.
I refuse to place it.
Okay, that's fine. It's not just like the rest of these. I think that's fair. But I think I do have the PS4 Pro on here, and I think that would be a revision, right? That's a mid-gen refresh.
That's a revision.
Right, okay.
Yeah, it's mid-gen refresh, sure.
All right, the PlayStation 1 ONE, or the Gen 2 of the PlayStation. I love this thing.
I don't love it like some people do, but I do like it. I mean, what I really do like
but imagine
about
it has a screen on it. The screen that's made for
the
it.
Screen's neat. What I mostly like about it is that it was like, the top loader is kind of like this too. It's like, hey, like we made the thing smaller and more affordable. But like more so than the other ones, I associate this thing with like wow, the PlayStation 1 is a great deal right now. You can get a PS1 spelled out ONE for very cheap, and it has this amazing library now, and a lot of those games are pretty inexpensive. And it's a very sturdy piece of hardware. So yeah, I definitely like the PS1.
I think all of those things you said are like huge bonuses and pluses. The fact that $99, like the fact that it was so affordable, and then I think it's like there's two kinds of revisions, right? There's the ones that like make it look sleek and sexy, or they're the ones that make it look even cuter. And I think this is the best.
Cute.
This is the best cute revision that's ever happened. I think it's I think it's adorable to look at. It's so soft and round and looks so friendly. And then you do put the screen on it, and then it kind of becomes sleek and sexy. It's such a cool little technical piece of, I don't know. This is I have this. It's one of the consoles I have in this room right over there. I love looking at it still. I want to put it in S, Mike.
Okay, you know, I also like how it still is clearly a PlayStation 1.
Yes,
right? Like
yes.
It's clearly
it
still
owns
original
all the same
PlayStation.
design language. Yes.
Okay, go for
And
it.
it's just a cutie.
Cutie.
The 3DO Gen 2.
Man, they tried.
They did try. We always have
I
the
don't
dumper
know.
if we don't care. We just throw it in the dump.
I might not care because I never had. Look, I had a 3DO. I didn't have a 3DO Gen 2. 3DO was weird because multiple people made 3DOs. Like, to me, when I think of the 3DO, I think of the Panasonic,
Right, the Panasonic
3DO.
yeah.
And then there was a bunch of other weird things that I'm like, I'm not really sure what the hell was going on over there with that garbage.
It sounds like the dump.
Sounds like the dump. Then.
I agree with all that. The Game Boy. Let's do the Game Boy Advance SP.
The SP.
The SP.
That's an S tier because that is. Ooh. Is there a new tier for the SP?
I think there's a new tier for the SP, and I think we just call it SP.
SP.
I think we just call it the SP tier because holy shit, the Game Boy Advance SP is like everything we talked about with the Pocket, like turned up to 100. It was such a needed feature with the backlight or whatever, the front light, whatever it was. The fact that it's a clamshell, so it felt like it protected itself, and that felt like such a new innovation. And then the marketing was so good and made it feel like such a cool and must-have thing. And it just made games that were great better. It's such a good device.
Yeah, it you know, like all these other ones, it's like, oh, you know, yeah, I like the PS1, but I still want an original PlayStation 1. Even the original Game Boy, there's still something to that, even though the Pocket's better. I never need to hold an original Game Boy Advance ever again once the SP came out. I just don't even want to think about it. SP's perfect.
Yeah, I think at the time when I was like, you know, this is nostalgic and all that stuff, whatever. But the time that I think I was happiest with gaming was just having a Game Boy Advance SP in my pocket for 4 or 5 straight years. Yeah. And loving every second of that. It was such a good device.
Most comfortable pocket console we ever had. It was great for
that. I holding one fixes me is how I feel about it. It just makes me feel better. All right, Game Boy Micro.
Unnecessary.
Yeah.
Kind of cute. It's like it's almost more collectible than a serious piece of gaming hardware to me. It's kind of like a C. Yeah,
I think it's like one of these ones where it's at the end of the generation, right? You're going to do something strange, go for it. I liked the idea of people like wearing it on necklaces and just having their Pokemon games with them everywhere they went. That's fun, but I don't know if that does much more than a C. I think you're right on the money on that one.
Especially again when the SP is already so small and affordable, anyways. I just this thing's cute, especially when they made like special edition ones. Like this one looks like a Famicom or whatever. Okay, that's neat, but there's not much of a point to it.
Yeah, God, the DS came out 2 years after the Game Boy Advance SP. Is that right? Jesus, time went so.
It was a different time.
So different. All right, the PlayStation 2 Slim, the Gen 2. I like this one a lot.
I don't like it as much as the PS1.
I agree with that.
It felt cheaper to me in a way, and maybe it's just because I really didn't like the opening disc tray instead of the sliding disc drive. I know maybe that seems stupid, but the sliding disc drive felt really nice to me, and just opening up that tray, it felt very flimsy, that tray. Like it was going to snap off at any moment.
Yeah, I think it probably, like a lot of times with these revisions, they are doing this to make things cheaper for sure. And so that probably does come through in that. But when I look at it, I like looking at it. I think it's a good-looking console.
I'm not saying it's bad. I'm saying it's an A, maybe not an S.
Right. I when you said it's not as good as the PS1, I think that's right. I think this is our other A, right next to. Well, I think I'll put it in front of the top loader because I think it's better than the top loader. But not. Yeah, I think this is right. And I think with PS1 in S, this in A, that feels good to me. Okay. The Xbox 360 S, the Gen 2, the one that kind of like sharpened this suck in. Remember the Xbox 360 had the sort of the suck in. I had like a sharper suck in.
It's kind of hard because it's a definitely a much more reliable console.
Right.
Right. And like I associate it with more hard drive space, which was definitely needed at the time. I don't hate the way it looks, but I think it looks worse than an OG Xbox 360.
It's not sane as much. The original Xbox 360 just felt bold in some ways. That this feels like a consumer electronics device.
It feels safer. I also associate it with like, they just slowly made the UI for the Xbox 360 more generic and less interesting as time went on. And I kind of associate this with that.
We're talking about vibes, so I think you can hang it on that. I think that's fair. To me, this is in B.
I think it's a B
because it's better than the SNES Gen 2. I think it's better than that, for sure.
Absolutely. Yes, okay. It absolutely is. I think B is the right place. Yeah, I think calling it the equivalent of the Genesis Mark II or whatever seems right to me.
I think exactly right. The Xbox 360e, the Gen 3 one, which I thought maybe one of the better Gen 3s we've ever seen. I like this one a lot. Did you ever have one of these?
I can't remember if I had one of these. Like, this is the one, like, now this is what I associate with the Kinect, right? In some weird ways.
And to be fair, I think and I'm talking about aesthetics wise, I think the reliability of these actually dipped down compared to the Gen 2, because they kind of were trying to make things cheaper again. So I think these ones had disk drives that broke, and I say that because I had one that had a disk drive that broke. And that was when I was trying to play Ride to Hell Retribution, so maybe that's because it's years later, but whatever. This is probably also just B, but maybe the head of B is kind of what I'm thinking.
I mean, I think I like the second version more than this one.
You do
I don't
okay,
know.
all right.
It's close, though. You can do what you want to do.
Let's just put it in B then. I'm fine with that. I think they're right next to each other. I think that's fair, because I'm saying the top of B. I think if we can keep it in B, I'm fine with that.
That's fine.
All right, let's see here. Next up, the DS Lite.
Ooh.
Wait. Ooh, sorry.
No, do you have one that I forgot? Please let me know.
Yeah, the 360 Arcade Edition. Remember that one?
Yeah, but that's a launch console, right? Wasn't it?
The 360 Arcade Edition? No, it's a different SKU, isn't it?
Well, it's a different SKU, but I thought that was the launch.
It's just a different configuration.
It was a different configuration of the launch console. We're not doing those.
It's the launch console. It just has slightly different.
Because there will be there's the Wii U and then the Wii U without the storage and stuff.
Perfect comparison. Yeah.
Okay, so DS Lite.
How many other DSs are there? Because I know there's a lot of them. Like
Mike, there are so many fucking DSs. But how many did I? Well, there's actually more 3DSs, right?
Right. That's like
there's DS Lite, DSi XL, DSi. We're gonna do all of those back to back.
Because it's like
we can do them all at once if you want.
No, we can get to it. But I mean, look, this is definitely again much better than the base DS. I didn't hate the DS Fat like some people did. Right? It's not as much improvement.
The DS Lite is so much better.
It's a lot better. It's a lot better.
It just felt less dumb. Like I think, listen,
less dumb.
Yeah, the DS looks dumb. It does, and the DS Lite looks cool, and it doesn't look as cool as an SP. It doesn't go in the SP tier. I don't know if anything else does. Probably not. But I think this has an argument for the S tier.
It's certainly S tier. Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Well, let's just pop it up there. DS Lite. God, I love that thing.
It's good.
Now the DSi, which I don't know. I think I got a DSi XL. I don't think I ever got a DSi.
I had a DSi and I liked my DSi a lot. I mean, it was pretty. It's pretty similar to a DS Lite, except the camera was the big thing, right? And now I'm trying to remember what the hell did we actually do with that camera on a DSi?
I don't know. Kids would take pictures, I guess. I think did it have kind of like a matte finish to its like outer shell?
Yes.
I like that.
Yeah, it was all matte. It was pretty cool.
It was. This one lost the Game Boy Advance cartridge.
That's rough for me because that's probably why I didn't get one.
That's pretty.
I had to go back to the Lite to play the Guitar Hero game. I had this one. And
right, yeah. Because you have to plug it in the GBA cartridge slot.
It's the other slot.
I don't hate the DSi, but I kind of feel like it's a B.
It's probably maybe a B. It almost felt like it was a bit like, hey, I think you guys already got it with the DS Lite, but here's the I anyway. Sure.
And I think it's a B because I think I would then put the DSi XL into A because I think that was even better. But I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, at that point, it was like, hey, it's bigger, I guess. Yeah, that's the fourth iteration. I mean, is there anything to that aside from it was bigger at that point?
Did it have better screens or something? I don't know.
Actually, yes. Every single DSi XL has IPS screens. So the mods that people do nowadays for the retro consoles, it had those out of the box, so it still looks incredible.
Right. The DSi XL is like the DSi XL is the thing where people talk about, hey, what's the best way to play DSi games? Just get a DSi XL. They're cheap and they're awesome.
Okay.
I'm gonna put
that in A then.
Yeah. The Wii Mini. Now this is not a mini console. This is a Canadian console, which may be the same thing. I don't know.
I never had one of these. I don't hate the way it looks though. I like that it's red.
What was like the big sacrifice was like no Wi-Fi chip or something? Like it didn't
what it was?
It didn't have internet or something, I think. Yeah.
No Wi-Fi, no output other than component video, and no GameCube functionality whatsoever.
It's no game. Ooh,
I think maybe even no SD card support.
It's weird because the Wii is already it was like at start a budget console.
I mean, that's why they
tiny.
didn't release it in the United States, or maybe they released it somewhere else. In my mind, it was always just Canada.
This was for people like living in the middle of the mountain, that people that ride the moose to work and that type of shit, isn't it?
That's most
is it
Canadians.
Just a D?
I think it's I think it's probably just a D. I mean, I think it
don't hate the way it looks. That's all I can say about
right,
it.
Exactly. I think it's kind of cute, but I don't know. I think let's just put it in D. That's probably right. Okay. The PlayStation 3 Gen 2. I guess this is like the first.
This
Slim.
is not the Slim. This is not the Slim.
I guess it's slimmer, but I don't remember if anyone colloquially talked about this.
No, this
is
Slim. Not the Slim. No, because they did a Slim for the.
Yeah, the Slim.
That's what I'm saying.
There is a Gen 3 coming up. We'll talk about that, and that's clearly Slim.
Yeah, no, I don't remember anybody calling.
Is this just the one that got rid of the backwards compatibility? Because that sucks. Then.
Well, weren't there? There was the two launch models, and one didn't have the backward compatibility, right? So that was there from the start.
Yeah.
You guys are talking about the PS3 now?
Yeah, PS3 Gen 2.
So the PS3 got rid of backwards compatibility within the first 2 years. So there are PS3 Fats that do not have backwards compatibility.
Okay,
so that was gone before the Slim.
Okay, so is that what this is? Okay.
Well, we can't see it on screen anymore, Jeff, but if it's the one with like the silver trim in the front, yes, that's the PS3 Slim.
That's what it is.
Yes, that one was fantastic because it was like half the size of the original PS3.
I love this shit.
Okay. So then, here are the two. Here's the Gen 2, Gen 3. I know it's kind of small, but
the Super Slim was the one with the sliding panel on the front for the disc tray.
So this one right here is much smaller. So this was like the original Slim. The original Slim. Yes, this is probably what people think of when they think of the Slim.
Yes,
all right,
that's the one that people like is the OG Slim.
Yeah.
It's good. I mean, and we had already lost backward compatibility by this point. It wasn't this thing's fault,
right?
It definitely, this thing is good. It's probably what most people use for PS3 these days because a lot of the base ones did kind of start failing.
Yeah, the George Foreman grill, yes.
Yeah, and I never hated that George. Me, I'm a sicko for consoles that just kind of go for it. This is probably more palatable for a lot of people.
This is definitely in that wheelhouse of making it look more like a modern consumer electronic device, and I think they did a good job of that. So I lean towards B, but I don't know. I'm willing to hear.
Yeah, to me, it's like right there with that 360 revision. Yeah, honestly.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like a DSi as well. Yeah. All right, then there is this one, the PlayStation 3 Super Slim.
Fuck that shit. Throw it in the garbage.
Yeah. Oh, that sliding tray feels terrible. In this thing.
I think this is one where it's
so
like
much.
I realize Gen 3s are always really cheap, and this is really cheap.
Again, it felt unnecessary. The Slim model kind of got you there already, so this is maybe D for me. Don't forget, the dump isn't the worst tier, everyone. The dump is just we don't know what to do with it.
Right.
So D is our worst tier.
I can make a new tier below D if we want to make an F.
No, I already can't. You already barely have the thing fitting in the window. Let's just put it in D.
Fair enough. All right. Let's see here. The PSP Go.
Fuck yeah! I'm the only one who defends this console all around.
I didn't put all the other like Vita variations in here. I guess I could do that, but I mean,
no, that's fine. I know there's like the one with the better OLED screen, but
right.
I need more than that to consider it a major revision. People love this thing. I was never much of a PSP guy in general. I have to admit,
I was not a PSP guy. I kind of want to go back and play all the hits still, but I have not.
I do like the form factor, and I think I do like the sliding nature of it. I think that's neat. I remember at the time because this thing was this thing all digital, and wasn't that kind of controversial?
Yes, it was all digital. There was no physical media for this. Which the PSP famously had the Universal Media Disc. I think that's what USB stands for.
I do like the way this thing looks. I think it might. I think certainly at least a B, and I can see it being an A pretty easily.
I I always liked the idea of a sliding system because I always was a sidekick freak. And this didn't slide like a sidekick, but it still slid, and I like that. I don't know. I think let's just put it in B. It does feel probably like a B.
Really? You're not feeling A for it?
All right, listen. You said B, and
I said B, and then I said, but it may be an A. I don't know. I want to hear why you think B and not A.
Because I'm just not too moved by it when I look at it. But
I don't know. A little moved.
When I look, when I think about the slide, I get moved. So I'm fine with A. I'm not against it. I don't know. I think I'd like the way the original PSP looks better.
It's ambitious. It went for it, and I respect that.
It was a statement, for sure. All right. Handful left.
Oh, the people's champion, Mike. He won.
There you go.
Thank you, Mike.
The Xbox One S, which is the Gen 2 of the Xbox One, that white one that had, a slightly better CPU.
Right.
I mean, listen, this is 10,000 times better than the VCR. I think I've really grown to kind of find the VCR disgusting. It felt like a Gen 3 from the start. Like it felt janky and busted and broken. And
I mean, it looks like an Xbox 360 Gen 3, which I guess makes sense. It was the last Xbox 360.
Oh yeah, and this has a 4K Blu-ray drive. I guess this is like, obviously there's a factor of where do you start and where do you end up, like that. Like this is such a big gap that's helping it here. But also, I think in general, this is a pretty good looking console that worked in the way that people wanted it to work, and kind of did exactly what it was supposed to do. It kind of feels like an A to me.
I could maybe see B, but if you want to go A, I can do that.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna let's go with A.
Okay, we can do A for it.
The Xbox One X. So this is the Pro model.
Okay, so this is this is like maybe our first real Pro. I guess maybe not our first, but pretty close to our first big Pro model thing. DSi kind of close there. This thing was an upgrade for sure, right?
Yes,
it absolutely was. In ways, maybe a bigger upgrade than even we'll see with the PlayStation 4 Pro.
I mean, it took a generation that kind of was. I mean, both this and the PS4 Pro did this. And, I think we have the Pro right there. Yes, they kind of take a generation that ended up much stronger than these console makers thought they would be, and made those consoles be what everyone thought they could be from the start, like kind of what they imagined they were going to be. And I think it should get credit for that. I don't know. Playing games on the Xbox One X was probably one of the best ways to be playing games at that generation. So I don't know. It could probably go up pretty high. I don't know. What do you think?
I think I mean, it's certainly certainly at least a B, and certainly probably at least an A. Honestly, I don't feel. There's like a part of me that like almost maybe resents the cycle it has put us in. This in the PlayStation 4 Pro to want to put it in an S. Like I don't know if I necessarily thought that this whole thing is a good idea. This kind of big mid-gen refresh instead of maybe like, hey, maybe why don't we just do the gen slightly faster than we would have if we didn't have one of these, right? Like the next gen.
And the PS4 Pro and the Xbox One X still had hard drives, right? They didn't have SSDs.
There was just hard drives, so yeah. That was like the big thing with PS5, especially.
You could have put an SSD in there. I know that the CPUs probably wouldn't be able to take huge advantage of it, but boy, I don't know, anything to make that stuff go a little bit faster was pretty rough.
And part of my thing too is like I remember at least the pitch for the Xbox One X was very much 4K, 4K, and I rolled my eyes at that a bit. Yeah,
for sure. And it's like it was definitely like the fake 4K. It's like outputting at 4K, and then a lot of the games were running at like 1800p at best or whatever. I think we put it in A because I think it accomplished everything it needed to do as a revision. I just don't know if it gets into S because
it doesn't get into S.
I think you're right about like the whole generation sort of drags it down a little bit. Okay, let's see here. Let's do the PlayStation 4 Slim first.
Oh, the Slim. The PlayStation 4. I kind of forget that there was a PlayStation 4.
I like the way it looks a lot. Very much a PlayStation 4 but smaller, and I kind of like that. And again, it does like the softer edges again.
Yeah, you're right. It looks fine. I do like the rounded edges. Yeah, for sure. It almost looks. I don't mean this in a bad way, like what AI would have guessed a PlayStation 4 Slim would look like, right?
Yes, I see that for sure. I think it's like a B.
It's a B. It's fine.
Yeah. All right.
It's a little weird because we do have a Pro.
Yeah, and we do have a Pro. So PS4 Pro. Oh, wait, what's up, Christian?
Oh, it looks like an ice cream sandwich.
Yeah, it does.
A little bit.
Yeah. PS4 Pro, which is the triple decker.
It does look stupid. It is just like, let's just, how we have those kind of slabs on it. What if we just do a third one?
That's literally exactly what it is. Yep.
Yeah, I don't really like the way it looks. But otherwise, pretty similar to Xbox One X. Although not quite as powerful as an Xbox One X, right?
Yeah, but I think
not.
It accomplished all the same stuff in the end, right?
Yeah.
For the most part, like the Xbox One X definitely ran games better when you compared them. But in order, when it came to making people feel good about the generation, I think it had the exact same effect on PlayStation players.
Is it one tier below just because it's uglier and it's not
probably.
quite there?
I think
maybe it's a B instead of an A.
It's a B instead of an A. All right.
Okay.
How many 2D or how many 3DSs do you think we have?
Well, let's see. There would have to be there's the 2DS, the 2DS XL, the new 3DS, the new 3DS XL, and the 3DS XL, right?
That is correct. That's the 5 models we will be considering.
Holy shit!
Let's start with the 3DS XL.
No, the 3DS XL come with a second analog nub on it.
No, that's
my big.
I think isn't that the new? That's the new 3DS that gets that.
No. This thing has the little nub already. Oh yeah. Oh, you're right. Just the new does. Okay.
Yep.
Yes, you're right then. Well then, I don't really care for it too much. It's just bigger. I guess it's nice that it's bigger, but considering what would come, maybe they could have just held off for a little bit.
I definitely was like into the 3DS XL and was like whenever they'd have a special version of it, I would be like, man, I think I want to upgrade to that, even if it was never an upgrade. I don't know. Maybe it's just a B.
It might just be a B.
All right. The 2DS, the slab.
I think the 2DS was market-wise a very smart decision to get a cheaper one into the hands of a lot of kids who wanted to play Pokemon.
I hate it.
I hate the way it looks.
I hate looking
the way
at
it looks. I hate the way it feels. I do not like it.
So C or D?
It's a smart business decision, but I don't like it.
C or D?
Did either of you guys ever own a 2DS?
I've
never
held
owned one. I've held them plenty of times.
I had one for a brief period. It gave me 20 different kinds of hand pains. Put that shit in the lowest tier.
There we go. It hurt
D.
my friend Sean. Put it in the D.
All right,
that's right. Worse than the DualSense, damn it.
Yeah. D for don't you dare hurt Sean.
Okay, let's do the 2DS XL then.
Great, it's bigger. D also.
The 2DS XL is actually clamshell and is like.
Oh, it was. God,
yeah, it's like basically a really good 3DS just without 3D.
Oh, you're right. It's just significantly better because of that, I guess. I'm still like, look, I guess if people don't like the 3D, I'm still kind of like, what's the point? Come on, live a little, have a little 3D as a treat. And it has the other analog nub. Yeah, it's definitely, look, it's at least a C at least if the normal 2DS is a D.
Yeah, yeah, all right. You're right. Let's put it in C. Because I'm like, what am I going to argue for? I get that it's like, it feels good, but I would just rather have a 3DS XL or new 3DS XL. Specifically, speaking of which, where's that go?
3DS
The new 3DS XL. The new 3DS, did that ever come out in the United States?
Did we just have an XL is what you're asking?
We had the small one only on Black Friday 1 year, Jeff.
Okay.
Holy shit, is that real?
Yes. Canada had it more regularly as part of an Animal Crossing bundle, but yes, I had one of these because I had to go to Walmart on Black Friday to get it.
Okay, well then I want to consider it because I love the faceplates on this thing.
Faceplates were so sick, too.
I love the way the new 3DS looks. Let's do that one first then. New 3DS, not XL.
Gosh, I'll leave it to you then because I don't. To me, it's just a smaller new.
This
3DS,
is also the
right?
one with the Super Famicom style buns.
Yeah, I really like it. I think I want to put it in A. Because I love the faceplates. But Sean, you had one. I don't know. Help us out here, because I only ever like played around with it a couple times.
I would put it on like the low end of A. It's like less iconic, but it is a really, really nice system.
Okay, then the new 3DS XL, which was the one that most people would have in the United States.
I love my new 3DS XL.
I love it.
Right, I still think about it all the time. It's got to be an S for me.
Okay, I love it. Yeah, let's do it.
I think it's the most comfortable of all the XLs that we kind of got. from Nintendo, right? I think it does kind of still, I think it sort of feels a bit more premium. It's got all the buttons and analog nubbies that I need. We had some great variants. I still have that Majora's Mask one, right? Like that's my go-to when I think of this console. Yeah, I mean, it's the last one we got of these, right? The Game Boy line, essentially. This kind of feels like the culmination of it all.
Do you want to put it at the top of S, like ahead of Game Boy Pocket and PS1 and DS Lite?
Sure, why not? Why not?
Maybe DS Lite goes right behind it then. All right, the Switch Lite. That's where we're at now.
It's kind of like the 2DS with me, but not as bad. I get it. It has very little appeal to me personally. I think you probably like it a bit more.
I like it quite a bit. The big part of it is it all being one body. So there are no Joy-Cons that can come off, but that also makes it feel more sturdy and more comfortable. I like it a lot. I think I want to put it in B.
You could put it in B,
right.
But it does nothing for me.
All right. Well, then, we want to consider the Switch OLED?
Yeah, that's kind of what we got basically in terms of a premium Switch.
I think so. Yeah,
in a lot of ways. I think
it's definitely the successor to the Game Boy Color lineage. I agree, Mike.
Yeah. Wow. Oh my God. It's funny because I love that OLED screen. And otherwise, I think it's disappointing that this is kind of all we ever got in terms of improvements to a base Switch.
There was pretty serious improvement to battery life, which was important.
There was.
Because, this is how handhelds win at this point. It was 2 to 5 hours is the range we were in after the Game Boy was, 30 hours or whatever the fuck it was.
That's true.
But getting an extra hour and a half out of one of these systems was pretty impressive at the time. So I feel pretty good about it.
Kickstand's better.
Yeah, kickstand is better. Jeff Baclar praises it. Should we put it in C?
No, it's better than C for sure.
All right. I'm cool. I really like the OLED. So what do you think? I
like it too.
You think of B or A then?
Maybe B's fine, but I could almost be persuaded. I guess I just wish it did a little bit something else, a little bit more juice on it.
Yeah, but it's like if the new 3DS XL is S, and then the new 3DS and PSP Go are A, I think the Switch OLED's definitely A. We could put it in A. Okay. Let's do that. That sounds right. All right, and then there is the PS5 Pro here, but we don't have one of those, so we could just not consider that.
Yeah, who knows? Okay. Who knows?
All right.
All right, then.
Mike, I will read this off. Here are our results. We in the dump, because we didn't know what to do with them, the Atari Lynx Gen 2, the TurboGrafx 16 Mini, which isn't even a thing, so that's why it's in the dump. And then it's just a modern mini console from 2020, apparently. And then the 3DO companies, the 3DO Gen 2, we don't fucking have that thing. All right, so then in D tier, the Sega Genesis Gen 3, the Wii Mini, both those things feel exactly the same to me. So this is already
very similar, right?
The PlayStation 3 Gen 3, also very similar. And then the 2DS, which we just don't like looking at or holding because of Sean's hands. The C tier, the Super Nintendo Gen 2, the Game Boy Micro, and the 2DS XL. It's the Nintendo category there. B tier is Genesis Generation 2, the Xbox 360S, the Xbox 360E, the DSi, the PlayStation 3 Gen 2, the Slim, the PlayStation 4 Slim, the PlayStation 4 Pro, the 3DS XL, and Switch Lite. A tier is PlayStation 2 Slim, the Top Loader NES, DSi XL, PSP Go, Xbox One S, Xbox One X, new 3DS, and the Switch OLED. The S tier is new 3DS XL, the DS Lite, Game Boy Pocket, and the PlayStation 1, the slim model for that generation. Then, alone, in the SP tier, the Game Boy Advance SP. Fuck yeah.
This looks great to me.
I like it. Looks real good. Yeah, so no changes or anything? You feel pretty good about it?
I feel good about it.
All right, I've downloaded the image. Let's go post this to Twitter and see what the kids have to say about it. Right there. In the meantime, let's take one more break. We'll be back after this to talk about what we've been playing.
All right. Sorry we did check the thread, but we're going too long, so
yeah. We honestly, people, we hadn't done a tier list in quite some time, if ever. I can't remember.
I don't remember last time we did a tier list, to be honest.
Yeah, so we just didn't know how it was going to go. So today, when we were talking about it, we're like, should we take podcast producer submissions. I think a lot of people ended up saying the top ones that we picked anyhow. So
yeah, and it pretty much lined up with what you guys said.
Okay, so yeah, we appreciate the input as always, everybody. So
except for everyone thinking that you're crazy for not putting the PS2 Slim in S tier.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah,
that was me. You can put that one on me, I guess.
All right, let's see here. Let's do this.
That's the
you can put it on me and my love of retractable disk drives.
That is the one downgrade. I'll give you that. But it's impressive that the disk drive is most of the console. Have you ever seen like the Mike? Have you ever seen a PS2 Slim trim down?
No.
People remove the disk drive and you can make the PS2 Slim like half the size that the Slim even is. It's insane.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it's so cool.
All right. Let's get back into it.
Let's go.
And we're back. Mike, what have you been playing?
Yeah. Good amount of stuff. I'm working on that platinum for Astrobot. That's something I definitely want to get done.
What kind of where are you at generally on that? You're just like the credits have rolled and now you're cleaning things up.
Oh yeah. I rolled credits a while ago. I've got, I think, worlds 1, 2, 3, and maybe even 4 100%ed. So well on my way. Like I have like 280 something bots, and then just gotta clear up the puzzle pieces. I think I've unlocked all of the secret exits, so that's not a concern anymore. So it's a matter of that, and then there's some things like hidden trophy, and I know it seems like a lot of that stuff is relatively simple things you do at the home base, and you go hit one of the guest bots, so that's fine. So hopefully there's not like too much there that I have to like go digging around in a world for. But yeah, it's like, I'm not usually super compelled to get platinums. But for one thing, one of the genres I do like to 100% in general is 3D platformers. Like the last time I really went on my way to 100% a game in general was probably Mario Odyssey, right?
Yeah.
It's going wild there. So I'm happy to do that with this game, and it's like, at a certain point, it's like I think this game deserves my platinum. I don't know what that means, but it's
I felt the same way. I know, yeah.
So yeah, we'll do that. But you've done that already, so you're kind of in like a holding pattern, waiting for those speedrun levels now. Huh?
A little bit, but the kids are playing, and just like they've been doing with Astro's Playroom for years now. They say, hey, can you help me with this? And then suddenly I find myself playing Astro again and being like, oh, this is fantastic. What a great way to keep playing the game. Just popping in here and there, helping the kids out with something that's just slightly too frustrating for them. They're getting better. Like they're doing levels. So I'm like, oh, this is going to be too hard for them. They're going to need my help. And I'll get busy and I'll be like, I'm taking out the trash. I'm doing the laundry, the dishes, guys. I can't just stop everything and go play the game for you. And then I come back down to check on them. I'm like, all right, what do you need help with? They're like, oh, no, we got past that. So they're getting better at it, but it's still, I'm happy when they ask for help because then I get to play more Astro, and I'm really enjoying that. But, yes, when the speedrun levels come out, it's going to get messy over here. I'm curious about how they're planning to roll those out. If it really is going to be like just 5 speedrun levels like the early reporting said, or if there's going to be a lot more than that. Because there's a lot of levels that could be speedrun levels based on what we've played so far.
Right. And I'm curious, like, is it just like you're taking these levels? Is it something new that we're getting? I'm not sure, but
yeah, who knows?
Excited to see what it is.
Yep. Me too.
Aside from that, a lot of my Switch nighttime gaming has been that Castlevania Dominus collection, and I'm now sort of halfway through Order of Ecclesia, so I really kind of just been rolling through all of that, just having a good time. And Order of Ecclesia is interesting because it's the one that, yeah, it's like it's a lot more linear, at least at first. There's like a level select. Yep. And spoilers, I know at the end you do go into a castle when it becomes a bit more traditional. But I don't mind this now. Again,
it's nice.
Especially in the context of the collection. Even back then when you were getting these things every once a year, it's like, oh yeah, this is, okay, they're switching it up a little bit. It almost feels like a little bit more like an older, like the more linear Castlevanias. But honestly, the gameplay and everything is still very much in that Igavania style. And I like that soul system. I like that you can assign them to X and Y. You can kind of combo things. There's a lot more spells and whatnot that you can use there. The art style is better than that bad really anime style the other two ones had before it. So yeah, just really happy playing a ton of Castlevania. So glad that we got this collection, and now we have all 6 of those games just easily accessible on the Switch. It's just a really, really nice thing.
Yep. I continue to be impressed by that collection for sure. It's one that I spent a little bit of time with while I was traveling, but The other thing I played while I was traveling is Space Marine 2. I got that working on the Steam Deck, and it's really good on there.
Hell
actually.
yeah, brother! Do you kill heretics for the Emperor God?
I'm killing some heretics for my Emperor God.
Wow.
Yeah, he kept me alive and turned me into an Ultramarine, and now my shoulders say Ultra on it, and that's pretty cool.
Primaris Marine. Excuse me. Get it right.
Oh, sorry. What is it?
A Primaris Marine.
Primaris Marine. That's right. Yeah. I love this game's bullshit. All the. The God Emperor and all that stuff, and these guys that just are hyper dogmatic in their super military, space Catholicism religion. It's a good time. And then you go out, you fight a bunch of things that obviously are taken from like the World War Z engine. I saw what people mean of like how the Tyranids are climbing on top of one another to get up walls. It's like, oh, that just looks like the trailer for that movie, the World War Z with Brad Pitt. And now I'm just shooting these guys and shooting them with grenades and kind of taking out the foundation and watching them fall down. It's a cool technology, and it makes you feel like you're always under this huge barrage of an assault. And then, when they get up close and you take out your big chainsaw sword and start chopping them up and they blow apart in a bloody mess, it's just a fun time. It's kind of like one of the ways I always like games to be, which is just like silly, gory fun. And this nails that stuff. We're going to be doing the multiplayer tomorrow on Giant Bomb. So looking forward to that. And then anything else, I kind of like, couldn't get Outlaws working great on the Steam Deck, so I haven't had a chance to keep playing that, Star Wars Outlaws, but now that I'm back home, I got that updated. Apparently it's running even better now, so I'm going to spend some more time with that here pretty soon. Problem is, it's like, there are more, like, Zelda's out in a couple of weeks. There are a bunch of games, like, coming that I want to be playing. Plucky Squire's going to be here before we know it.
Right,
So it's like, it's getting hard to keep on top of the backlog, while also keeping up on games that I'm like, oh, this is stuff I could be talking about on the Bombcast, so... Yeah, it's getting out of hand again, but I'm gonna keep playing Space Marine 2 because I don't think it's too long, right, Christian? You beat it?
No, yeah, it's not. No,
it's like
too long.
Seven or eight hours or something.
6, 7, 8 hours. If you like, just cook, just like because you can. I was playing it on like the hard difficulty, like an idiot for a longest time, and I kept dying, so it took me longer. But I feel like 7 hours, 8 hours, like.
That sounds just right to me. That feels like something I'm like, I got this started. I'm a couple hours in. I might as well just see it through. Even if it does get kind of repetitive, maybe at some point, I'm like, that's not going to bother me if it's only 7 hours. So, yeah, enjoying that game quite a bit. Beyond that, though, some new stuff will be coming out soon. Be able to talk about some stuff soon. I'll be able to talk about what I was doing on my trip soon. Things like that. Mike, anything else from you?
It's that Marvel vs. Capcom collection, which has been mostly just MVC2, played through like some arcade for funsies, is working on my, all girls who wear hats team, the Femme Fatales. Like I said earlier, I was doing some online matches, which felt very good. All right, so it is just neat to have netcode MVC2. But I'm excited to play through some of the other games on there, especially like Children of the Atom and X-Men versus Street Fighter, even Marvel vs. Capcom 1. Which is very much its own vibe. It was another Dreamcast game that I did play a lot of, and it was why I was so excited for Marvel vs. Capcom 2 back when it was, for some reason that makes me feel older than almost anything else, remembering waiting for Marvel vs. Capcom 2 to come out. There's like games I remember way before that being like, oh, wow, I can't wait till Ocarina of Time comes out. But for some reason thinking about pre-ordering Marvel vs. Capcom 2, and then them not honoring my pre-order because I was the only one who pre-ordered it, so they just didn't order the game. That's what makes me feel old. That's what makes me feel old. Yeah, I was very mad.
Yeah, because it's like, time was going so fast and slow during that time in some ways, and then that is like, what year was that? Like 2000?
It was like 2000. I think that's the thing too, is like the whole like being there for that whole cycle of nobody cared and like the game, and when the game came out, people like weren't necessarily that hot on it, to it becoming this monolith in the fighting game community and this beloved transcendent thing that it
seeing
is
the whole
now,
life of a game like that, that would make
exactly.
you feel old. Yeah,
in a nice way though, not in something it's fun. It's nice to be around for these things.
It's nice to have witnessed the gaming history for sure. All right then, Mike. Super chats. Now let's get out of here. So what do we got?
Yeah. A few more super chats here from Simon from Saskatchewan. Says, new member tier content, but I've listened for free for so long. I thought I should finally contribute. I always look forward to your stuff. Jeff got me to Giant Bomb. I'm very grateful. Thanks a lot. This was the first super chat from Simon. Thank you, Simon. You a lot.
That's very kind.
Really appreciate it.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate that. Absolutely.
Mikey O'Leary says, anytime the Game Boy Pocket comes up, I must mention that I won mine, the green Game Boy Pocket, opening a bottle of Surge. That's incredible. I hope you still have that one.
That rules.
It's the Surge Game Boy Pocket. Jacob Bench says 2DS XL might be one of the best looking devices. That was one, people seem to agree with us for the most part. Some people thought we were maybe harsh on the 2DS XL, or I was harsh on it. Anyways.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have much love for it. I do remember that my biggest memory of the 2DS XL is from this past summer Game Fest. A unhinged Greg Miller was going to pick up a 2DS XL that just happened to be sitting in front of him and was going to throw it across the room. And I had to tell them that this is an important 2DS XL that was just in like a video that someone did. I can't remember where they were at, but they just did a video about street passing in 2024, and they just put it up and it did really well for them. And I'm like, I watched that video. That's that 2DS XL right there. And Greg Miller was going to destroy it live in front of an audience of hundreds.
It was wild. He was just going to throw the 2DS XL.
So instead he threw a copy of WWF fucking whatever it was.
He already had destroyed that at that point. He was just looking for more things to destroy.
He threw that and they threw it on the ground and spiked and went right past the head of the producer and almost took his head off. So,
oh man, next year when you have it next year, you have to have like an extra place so he can destroy. I will watch that shit.
I'll have a rage room for him to go into, and he can
rage room.
Yes, he can destroy whatever he wants.
The Greg Miller room.
I do remember though when I looked down at the 2DS XL, thinking that's a good looking device. So. I don't know. That's the best I can do for you, everybody.
It's a big improvement on the 2DS, the normal 2DS.
Oh, sure.
I'll give it that.
Massive, yes.
El Grug says that Splatoon 3 Grand Festival goes hard. I know this event's happening. I don't know very much about it.
Yeah, I kind of want to check back in on Splatoon. I bet I can convince.
We have to play that roguelike mode that they added that apparently is fun.
I definitely need to do that, yeah.
Play Octo Expansion in 2 as well.
Yeah,
it's really good.
I will.
Then Ali Merkel says, hear me out, the Sega Nomad, the original Switch. I did have a Sega Nomad, and that thing did rule. It was. I guess
I could have put it on the list. When I looked at it, I'm like,
it's different to me.
It's a different thing. Yeah, it's kind of what I thought. My gut reaction there. So I don't know.
No, I wouldn't have included it, but I did like it. It was very novel at that point to just have a official portable Sega Genesis. And then Dan the Brat says, longtime GB fan. There's about 30 minutes of tutorial you have to do on your own in Space Marine before you can play multiplayer, just in case you don't know.
Is that separate from, like, I'm playing the single player? That's the tutorial, right?
That's the tutorial for a single
player.
Yeah,
because they gave me the two other guys, and I assumed those were the guys that could be the online dudes. Because, all the invite stuff's there for me. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
There's another mode where you can, like, it's like Strikes in Destiny, where you have, like, to pick... like a class, but that doesn't have a tutorial, by the way. You can play online. It has matchmaking and everything.
All right. Well, I'll make sure that Jan and Dan know about that for tomorrow.
I already let them know, and also you can skip that tutorial. I don't know if that's something they added later, but yeah, you can just skip it entirely.
Oh, yeah.
Cool. Thanks for your help with all that shit, Sean. I appreciate it. Yeah. All right. Cool. Boys, I think we're good, right?
That's it. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.
Oh, I hit both buttons.
What? That's the wrong one.
No, I hit both. I hit all buttons.
Back again, brother.
Let's start it over.
Do it again.
Run it back.
We gotta fix the 2DS XL's placement. They're upset.
We're so sorry, everybody. You're right. The show. Let's delete everything. Mike Minotti, how are you doing? Where can people find you on the internet? Oh, one more super chat. Hit it. Oh,
I don't see it. Chat said there was, but I don't see it. Maybe they're lying.
I think you got it. I don't see it either.
I think we're good. I think. Yeah, we're fine. What'd you say to me?
I don't know. I think I was starting to introduce the show again because then the music played and my brain went there. You got a new 90s Gizzy coming out in like the next week or so? You guys got it's about the middle of the month, right?
We'll do a 0.5 here soon. Check out Blake Club, though. I went back into the Lonely and Dark Mines. That was terrible.
That was quite an adventure today. There was several times where I'm like, he's just never going to figure this out. What is this game? And then you do get past everything. You make proggies, but it's painful proggies.
It is completely different than anything we have done on Blake Club before. That's for sure.
It is its own special hell. It's a great time. Everyone should definitely watch it. Like a lot of people did watch it. That first episode did really well.
Oh, yeah, thank you, everybody.
Did you forget to dox yourself on this episode, though? Should we go back and do that?
You're right. I forgot about that.
Address right now.
Oh, yeah, there's another super chat from Symbiosis, Mike.
Symbiosis says, one more chat.
There it is.
Thank you very much.
Oh, hell yeah. All right.
That's the name of Licklighter's paper about computers. There you go.
There you go.
Oh, there you go. I'm thinking of one more thing. Columbus soon.
Yes, Columbrose will happen soon.
Sometime next week or the week after.
It's been hard to do while I've been traveling and stuff, but that's slowed down now. Sick, traveling, and sick.
Yeah, and I did push back the game code discussion today just because I'm not feeling well last week and having so much else to do today, but we'll get back on that soon. We'll
get back on schedule with a lot of things, everybody, but thanks for sticking with us. We appreciate it. Every time everyone tunes in, even when one of us isn't here or both of us aren't here or whatever, it means a lot. Nice. We love doing these shows still, so thanks, everybody. Trying to think, last thing? No last thing. Have a good one. Take care of yourself and goodbye. Bye, Mike, Sean, Christian. Bye.
Bye forever. Fat ass white girl.
Chief comes.
Oh, a classic. Most people are beating it right now. They are going to come for Zelda.